Good morning, Facebook universe. Somebody's already in here. Who got in here? Jared Taylor. Good morning, Jared. Foamfoot 420, when do you sleep? Foamfoot 420 was on Spurs React last night. Went to Cowboys Dance Club. My feet are killing me. Danced until 2 a.m. What are you doing up at 6 a.m.? Sleep is importante. If I could have sleep, I'd get it. I just can't have it. All right. You are a party animal, like Steve DiRocco.
Now, Chris Duel.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. It is a beautiful Thursday. All the more beautiful that our football weekend shall begin today. That the Spurs won big last night. That Shannon, Salty, Sweeney is headed to San Antonio today. She'll be going to the Spurs game tomorrow night. And we cannot say this enough today. And I hope we say it a lot. And I'm going to say it just out of the gate. It is Veterans Day, November 11th. A thank you to every man and woman who has served and every family member of a veteran who has served. I grew up in a military family, and I'm certainly well aware of the sacrifices families make in addition to the service members. So thank you, thank you, thank you. The freedoms we enjoy in America do not exist without those who serve, our veterans, and we remember you. We thank you. We appreciate you on this Veterans Day, and hopefully we do it all day, every day, 365 and 366 on a leap year. Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, packing her things, getting ready to head to San Antonio today. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm really excited. I'm excited this is finally happening. We had something planned later in the summer. COVID spiked, so the bosses were like, we can't be held responsible if something goes down, so maybe don't go. And to top it off, I'm going to a Spurs Mavericks game on Friday night. How cool is that?
That is so cool, especially because you're a Mavericks fan. I mean, we like you anyway.
Yeah.
And my secret scheme / dream is that we lure you from the dark side, because to me that's Mark Cuban, the Mavericks. That's to all that is good, all that is silver and black, the San Antonio Spurs. You know, I when I went to USC, I grew up in San Antonio. I was a Spurs fan. I'll always be a Spurs fan, obviously. But when I lived in Los Angeles for several years, and Lakers were on every night, and I went to a number of Laker games at what was then the Fabulous Forum in Los Angeles. They didn't become my favorite team. My favorite team always is the Spurs, but I grew to like the Lakers. I grew to kind of pull. That was the Magic Johnson era. I grew to kind of pull for them. So I don't. You've never expressed that you dislike the Spurs, but maybe now that you're on the radio in San Antonio and Friday night that you're experiencing a Spurs game, they may become a little closer to your heart.
You know, during high school, with so many people really in on the Spurs and me being a Mavericks fan and being, those few years leading up to our championship, that there were some heated moments between me and some of my classmates. Uh-oh. But I have to say, and I do have something in the Shakedown of how maybe my already cold black heart is maybe a little bit of a silver sheen coming across it.
Silver and black heart.
Yeah.
Your cold black heart.
Or should we say fiesta colored?
Woo! Which is even better.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm excited. I've only been to one Spurs game, and it was a playoff game against Memphis. And I remember my friend she was like, "I have tickets, let's go." And I was like, "Oh my God, that's incredible! It's a playoff game. That's incredible. Yes, none of these are my teams, but that's so amazing. Let's do it." And we get there, and they're the standing only tickets. And I was like, "Nah, you should have told me beforehand, because I would have said, best seat in the house is my couch."
Yeah. Well, now see, and
I stand the whole time, and I'm not very tall.
Well, see, you're going to be a big shot on a Friday night. My understanding is you get the run of the iHeartMedia suite, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, in addition to God knows whatever ticket might materialize, plus you get to meet Bill Schoening.
That's right.
Just say, hey, man.
Forget the game.
Exactly.
I'm gonna get that man's autograph.
Yes.
From his mustache.
Lots of people joining us on Facebook Live. In fact, one of them, Shannon, she joins us every morning on YouTube, Foamfoot 420, which is a very unusual name. I still don't fully understand the significance. But anyway, she on Spurs React last night after the massive Spurs win last night over the Sacramento Kings, 136-117. So she's with us in the morning. She's with us right now. She was with us on Spurs React last night. She goes, I'm waiting for my Uber to go to Cowboys Dance Hall, which is a big dance hall in San Antonio. And now she's saying, my feet are killing me. I danced until 2 a.m. I'm super tired. When do you sleep?
On a Wednesday?
It's 6:15 for crying out loud.
On a Wednesday? I mean, maybe I'm just no fun, but that sounds horrible to me.
Yeah. And, but and I get it. When I was much younger, the goal was to go out and stay out late and as long as possible. And now I value sleep.
Yeah, my goal is a quality night's rest.
Yeah.
To better prepare me for the day ahead.
And now, again, because I'm old as dirt, get off my lawn. Very rarely, when I can engineer a day when I don't even leave the house, when it's like a Saturday or a Sunday, and I can say, all right, I've got enough food in the house. I've got enough beer in the house. There's football on TV. And I look at my schedule and I go, I don't have to leave at all. I can actually be here for 24 hours and not even step it. To me, that's paradise to me. Yeah. Whereas when I was a kid, or even when I was in my 20s or 30s, it's like, oh man, I'm bored. I got to get out. I got to go do something. I'm bored. Yeah. Not anymore.
I'm the same way. I am okay with being social. I'm okay with doing something, but I need that time in between to recover. Last weekend, I get a text Friday from a friend. She's like, we need to go back to the breweries. We haven't been to a brewery in a while. And I was like, oh, okay, like, I guess I'm available. Like, I'm not really doing anything. I'm just going to watch football all day. Texas doesn't play till the evening, so we can go in the afternoon. And the best text ever came like Saturday around lunchtime. Oh, I can't do it anymore. Let's try for next week. And I was like, oh yeah, no problem. That's totally fine. Good.
There you go.
It works for me. I love those. I love that. I love when certain plans get canceled.
Yes. All right. We got a lot to talk about this morning, as I mentioned. In fact, we'll talk a little Spurs after their win last night. Last night in the Spurs 136-117 win over the Kings, the Spurs hit more three-point shots than they've hit all year. They hit 18 three-point shots. They had their best field goal percentage of the year, 53.3%. They shot better from three than they did from the field. Field goal percentage, which includes three-pointers, was 53.3, but three-point percentage, 56.2. All of those season highs. Shannon, you were talking with Bill Schoening yesterday, voice of the Spurs, about one of the problems is A, they're not taking enough three-point shots, and B, they're not making their three-point shots when they take them. I got a feeling maybe Coach Pop or Becky Hammond might have been listening to the show yesterday morning and said, I heard Salty saying we got to jack up more threes. Let's talk to the team about that.
Yeah, maybe we need a new segment called Salty Says, where I just coach up a team, because it seems to be working after this one prime example. Because 56%, that is a pretty dang good. And again, they made 18. Yeah. I think they were averaging closer to 19 threes a game. And so to make 18, shooting 30, there you go. That's progression. That's progression. 11 games in.
Yeah.
Keep it going.
And just to compare to the Sacramento Kings last night, from three-point country, as we mentioned, Spurs 18 of 32. The Kings from three-point range 10 of 36. So the Kings took 4 more three-point shots and hit 8 less. So you look at 10 three-point shots versus 8. So 8 times 3, 24. So the Spurs had 24 more points from three-point country last night, and they win the game by 19. So there's your game. I mean, quite often you look at the NBA, Shannon, whoever hits the most three-point shots is probably going to win, and it was the case last night. They were hot. They were making them. They made a lot more than Sacramento, and you could point to that and say that's why they won the game.
Yeah. Well, and you look at some of their stats. They really rocked it in assists with 14 more, total of 13 or 34, but 14 more assists than the Kings, working the ball around the perimeter and putting it inside, putting it back outside, and getting those open looks from three go a long way too. I'm still a little disappointed in the free throws. They've been averaging 70% so far this season. They got to the line plenty. They had 31 attempts last night, but only 64%. That has to be better.
That is no bueno at all. All right, we'll talk a lot of Spurs, a lot of NFL. NFL weekend begins tonight on Thursday Night Football. We will talk college football, college basketball, and more. In a moment, we'll meet not only our one, but our two Soundscape stylists this morning, and you can see them as well on Facebook Live. But it is 6:20 right now. We do this throughout the day. We start at 6:20, do it all day long at 20 after the hour until 9:20. The Grand in Your Hand cash contest. And to be clear, somebody wins $1,000 every single hour. Not once per day and everybody's name no. It's every hour. Somebody wins $1,000. It may as well be you. Here it is, the Grand in Your Hand cash contest.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BAG to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BAG to 200-200.
BAG, the keyword. We'll do that again 2 more times before 9 o'clock at 7:20 and at 8:20. Speaking of the rest of the show, in the 8 o'clock hour, our good friend James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He is a card-carrying Aggie, an Aggie alum, but we like him anyway. He's also very hip to the Longhorns and very respectful of the Longhorns and all of Texas. And he's a San Antonio guy, so he's hip to undefeated UTSA. Speaking of UTSA, Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA football and UTSA athletics, going to join us at 8:35. UTSA 9-0, going for 10-0. And yesterday, Shannon, I mean, the hits just keep on coming. Sincere McCormick, the prolific running back of the UTSA Roadrunners, I believe number 5 in the country now in total yards at the moment. He's on the Rich Eisen show. Yeah. Rich Eisen has him on yesterday. Great interview, about 8 or 9 minute interview. I listened to it. Sincere McCormick was outstanding. Not every football player or any human being. I mean, you and I, Shannon, and in a moment we'll meet Dave Ayler and our special guest, newbie Soundscape stylist. We work in radio, so we're used to yapping on a mic. Not everybody is into it or good at it. Sincere McCormick, very, very well spoken. I was really proud of him on national radio yesterday.
It's great that, and I think he represents very well. He seems like a really good kid, right? It's a bummer when the star of the show is I don't know, let's say Johnny Manziel, where it's like, that's the guy we have representing, we're doing so great. And this is the guy. So to have him be kind of the face of that team right now and get those opportunities is great. It's also great for him personally. I don't know what the NIL deals are looking like for UTSA kids right now, but I'm sure they are ramping up, and opportunities like that are only going to help him out. I know he's a senior. So we'll probably be looking to make some NFL money here in the near future, I would think, with the stats he's been putting up, and the recognition that the Roadrunners have been getting. But it's fantastic, and I hope we see more of that as the season. Unfortunately, we're in the back half now.
Well, and you talk about NIL. What was cool about it? Yeah. It's a weekly segment that I wasn't aware of that Rich Eisen does, sponsored by Gorilla Glue. And it's like the Gorilla Glue toughest player of the week.
Okay.
And they get money. They get
nice.
They get like $1,000 from Gorilla Glue. And Rich Eisen even brought up Sincere McCormick has a 1-year-old daughter that is she's visiting him this week in San Antonio as he practices and gets ready for Southern Miss. And Rich Eisen goes, well, that $1,000 can come in handy for you to help buy some birthday gifts for your 1-year-old daughter. So it's interesting. I didn't even think about that. We talk about like Spencer Rattler having his own logo and Instagram deals and stuff like that. Something like this where a company can give a cash award to a great player who's had a great week. Yeah. Apparently that's how that's working out.
Well, and now that I'm thinking about it, like Gorilla Glue, that's a great endorsement just for a running back, right? Unless you're Zeke Elliott of the 2020 season.
Yeah.
Fumbling the ball everywhere. But if high and tight, boys.
Boom. Well, I have burned that first segment with you, Shannon. So we have yet to meet for the morning, not only Dave Ayler, who actually is going to abandon us and pretty much blow us off for the next several shows, but there is a replacement in the offing, and we'll meet him as well. In fact, his name, at least his first name, will be very familiar to our listeners. We'll meet him. We'll have Dave Ayler introduce our new and perhaps future or long time, whenever Dave Ayler's not here, soundscape stylist who has been training on the Mike Taylor show. So, Shannon, he probably comes with a little bit of attitude if he spent the last couple of weeks with Sam Freese over on the Mike Taylor show.
Okay.
So that should be fun. So, all right, coming up, high five play of the day. I'll give you a hint. It is Dallas Cowboys related, so all the better. We can't talk enough Cowboys. Just let you know what that is. You'll find out who that's all about. 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown. This day in sports history, sports birthdays. We mentioned our great guests in the 8 o'clock hour. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA football and UTSA athletics. Grand in your hand cash contest at 20 after the hour. You can jump in on the phone lines. We take your phone calls, 800-707-9760. Lots of people joining us on the live video stream. We'll take a look at what you're talking about here during the break and on the air as well. We are with you till 9 o'clock this morning on Veterans Day. A thank you to all who serve. We love you and we respect you, and we wouldn't be here without you. There would not be freedom without you and all you have done now and over the years. A thanks to our veterans on Veterans Day. Quick break, more coming up. You're listening to the Chris Duel Show. All right. Okay, finally, Foam Foot, we get the story behind your name. My dad was a truck driver, and his handle over the road was Foam Foot 420. He is the reason I love sports. He passed away 3 years ago, so I use his name. Wow. That is very cool, Foamfoot 420. Sorry to hear about your dad's passing 3 years ago. I know that's tough, but very cool of you to honor him by using his handle/name. Jared Taylor, welcome in. Steve Duraco. Fonzie J. Rodriguez says Lakers all day. Sunday, Fonzie. Spurs Lakers 2:30 Central Time Zone. Anthony Del Toro, Wes Perkins, Tracy Bogert. Tracy, I meant to yesterday on the air. I think I did it off the air. Happy birthday to Serenity, your daughter, and a Texas Longhorn. Hector Gomez, good morning. Ralph Balderas, Sam Tobias, Armando Salinas from Kentucky this morning. Chris Gonzalez already knows that our new soundscape stylist is Jeremy 2.0. Well done, sir. Tracy says, my dad's handle was the Diesel Doctor. Very nice. All right. I am in desperate need of caffeine. I don't get a nap today. I got a doctor appointment. at 11:30. And that's usually my nap time. So I'm going to be extra cranky today. All right. The Strato Tanker Cody decanter of coffee. Cody, which I got at HEB. Because A, they don't have Yeti, and this is probably like a lot less expensive than Yeti. Yeti's for the beautiful people like Shannon. All right. I'll be back. Drink a bunch of coffee today, Chris. This would be coffee run 40,035. Yeah, in fact, I am going to, because I know I'm not napping, I'm going to hit a Starbucks or a Black Rifle Coffee Company. Thank you, Bryn Forbes. On the way home, just so that I don't fall asleep before 11:30. Back in a sec. Lucinda Sullivan, good morning. Cody Webb, Luisa Alanis, Bryn Forbes, thank you for wearing the mask, first of all, although you're not wearing it correctly. You got to cover that nose. But thank you. Thank you for the attempt. Thank you, Bryn Forbes, for being a good human, unlike that dirtbag Aaron Rodgers. That lying, smarmy, entitled scumbag Aaron Rodgers. Not that I'm bitter. And I picked the Packers to go to the Super Bowl. Now I've got to root against my pick. Now, obviously, I want the Cowboys to go to the Super Bowl because they're my team. They're America's team. America. And we're going to find out if that was just an aberration. And now I adjusted the camera, and now it's too low. Cody, I talked about the Rich Eisen show a few minutes ago. Yes, and I tweeted out the link to the Sincere McCormick audio. I thought he did a great job. And also, somebody posted, I forget the show, but a national sports show on Sirius XM that Jeff Traylor was on. I mean, UTSA just getting a ton of run, which is cool. So I got my Spurs hat. I should probably wear the Spurs glasses more. Cody, you can always catch the podcast and or a replay of this video. But yeah, we talked about 5 minutes and just the fact Sincere McCormick was so well spoken. And again, I realize, Shannon and I and Dave, and you see Jeremy 2.0 in the background. We work in radio. We yap into a microphone every day. I don't expect everybody to be really good in interviews. But Sincere McCormick was quite good. It was nice to hear. We will have Andy Everett talking UTSA football coming up here at 8:35. See as well. Wanted to post. Oh, I know what I want to do. First of all, I want to share this video if I have time. All right. Here we come. Better guzzle some more coffee here before we do this little radio thing.
Let's get back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. Find Chris and Salty on Twitter at Chris Duel and at Shannon B. Sweeney.
Welcome in on a Thursday, November 11th, which is Veterans Day. a thank you to veterans everywhere. Lots of people joining us on the live video feed, including Armando Salinas, who is joining us from Western Kentucky this morning and many mornings. Armando Salinas reminding us that he is a Spurs fan in Western Kentucky. One of the cool things about the live video feed is that you're not only talking with us live and in real time, but you're talking with other fans, and they tend to be from all over the place, not only Austin, San Antonio, across Texas, across the country. Armando's in Kentucky and around the world. You know, we get Brad George from Australia. We get Taro Kotani from Tokyo, Japan. Robert Browning as well from Japan. He's going to climb Mount Fuji in 2022, plant a Spurs flag. And if UTSA goes undefeated, he says he's also going to plant a UTSA flag. We've got Ofa Lin, who joins us from Singapore. So it's very, very cool. Great people. We love hanging out with them. We love hanging out with you in the live video feed. Lots of ways you can access it on Facebook Live, AM 1300 The Zone's Facebook Live page, Ticket 760's Facebook Live's page. Both of those radio stations' Twitter accounts, it's running live there. There's a Ticket 760 YouTube page. We were on Twitch. We'll get back on Twitch, I imagine, at some point. And Shannon, before we go to the high five play of the day, and if people are on the live video feed, you may have caught a glimpse of him in the background. But first we'll say hello to the longtime Soundscape stylist who's about to blow us off, Dave Ayler, wearing his iHeartRadio company hoodie this morning. Dave Ayler, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing good, and I'm not blowing you off. I'm just working at the other end of the building.
But you could like put your foot down and say, hey, management, I like working with Shannon and Chris. You know, I've had enough of this Charlie Parker, Mr. T, Tim Merriman thing going on at WOAI. Find somebody, send Jeremy 2.0 down to WOAI. Feed him to the wolves.
If I had that much juice, I would do it. Because I have much more fun down here.
I think you've got that juice, man.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, he's clearly a company man.
Yeah,
look at that.
I'm looking for a raise. You know, that's why I'm wearing the
gotta play
company.
nice.
Yeah, and speaking of, since the boy wonder moved on, we had to hire a new Jeremy, and Jeremy's right here, and his name is actually Jeremy.
Jeremy 2.0.
Jeremy 2.0, and so he's in there training today.
And I learned yesterday that Jeremy 2.0 went to Clark High School. And again, I told him how old as dirt I am. I was still going to Holmes High School when they were building Clark High. I heard, hey, they're building a new school in the North Side District. It's going to be called Clark. They're the Cougars. And now it's been online, Shannon, for like 40 years.
That is old.
I am. Wow,
you are old.
I am so old. I frighten myself sometimes. I tell myself to get off my own lawn. That's how. I learned this yesterday, Shannon. Jeremy 2.0 likes and is a fan of sports.
That is good. That is a requirement we ask for, not just that your name be Jeremy, so Chris and I can keep it together, but that you also like sports.
That's usually a prerequisite. It helps out on this show.
But unlike the previous Jeremy, who didn't, what was hilarious though was Jeremy found
wizardness of picking teams that ultimately worked out in his favor.
Yeah, I was telling Jeremy 2.0 last night. He stepped in with Sam Freese during the Spurs game. Jeremy Fouts would have great ways of picking games. He'd go, well, if the Chiefs are playing the Bears, a bear could probably maul an Indian chief, so I'm going to go with the bear. And he'd be right, though. You and I are going, well, let's see. The defensive team total defense of this team.
Yeah.
And Jeremy Fouts, man. And then, in fact, I think I went 0 for 3. I think I went 0 for 6.
We don't need to talk about last week.
I think I went 0 for 3 in college and 0 for 3 in pro. And Jeremy Fouts.
I think a lot of people suffered last week.
A jet can fly higher than a dolphin, so I'll pick and he gets it right last year. He picked the first
to see.
Yes. So anyway, Jeremy 2.0 will get you on the mic here sooner than you were probably comfortable with. Welcome aboard. And I like him because he's okay. One other thing, and you can't see his shirt from here, okay. Shannon. Shannon is hardcore Longhorn. and I'm a big Longhorn fan, obviously. He's wearing an Oklahoma State. There it is. It's an Oklahoma State hoodie. And he did actually do some time at Oklahoma State.
Do
from what
some
I
time.
Yeah.
He was sent there against his will.
Yeah. Now, I will say this. I like Oklahoma State more than I like OU. So whenever they play each other, I am pulling for the mullet. I am pulling for the Cowboys whenever they play. And that's coming up soon, I think.
I think they'll like more when they're no longer in the Big 12. I'd be interested to get his take on the OSU basketball situation, postseason ban. That's been pretty interesting considering what they did compared to, I don't know, Kansas, who's just continuing to do whatever they want.
It is kind of interesting how double standards exist, not only in basketball, but in the NFL. And that actually might lead us somewhat to our high five play of the day. There's your high five play of the day music, which is absolutely beautiful. High five play of the day is appropriately sponsored by High Five, 2 locations in the Austin area. They got everything at High Five. They got great food, great drinks, big screen TVs everywhere, all kinds of games. Shannon, you have been to High Five many times. You can describe it better than I can.
Right. Well, it's a Thursday, which means we've got deals on sliders, margaritas, and half-price axe throwing.
Nice.
You need to take aggression out because your team just isn't doing very well. I'm sure if you brought like a printout piece of paper of the opposing team for that week and asked to have them pin it on the axe board, I think they might let you get away with it as you chunk axes at your target. It's a great way to get out aggression. It's also a great way to really mess up your arms for the following day. But it's well worth it because the satisfaction of landing an axe on one of those boards, there's nothing like it, especially when you start off like me by hitting the ceiling. It's quite the achievement. Sir, today we are focusing on a Dallas Cowboy for our High Five play of the day. It feels weird saying it's the holiday season, but it's here. I mean, we work in radio. We hear the commercials. There are jingles going on all over the place. It's all about the holiday season. Go ahead, get your shopping in now. You go to Target that's already been ransacked, the Christmas and holiday section. There's next to nothing left already. So CeeDee Lamb's already jumped in on the holiday spirit as well. He was at a Tom Thumb, which I guess is a version of Albertsons. I don't think the Dallas area really has any HEBs. So that's what they've got working with up there. He's actually partnered with them. They have a campaign where they Nourish Neighbors campaign, where they look to feed the hungry and the future. CeeDee Lamb was walking the aisles of the grocery store and passing out $100 gift cards.
Wow.
It's a great thing to do no matter what the season, but especially as families are trying to get things together to have a special holiday, whether it be Thanksgiving, whether it be whatever you celebrate in the month of December. That's fantastic. He was quoted as saying, "I know a lot of families in North Texas need some help during these tough times. That's what I want to do. Giving back is just as important as playing football. And I'm a person just as well as an athlete." Listen, this man understands the assignment. He understands what he's supposed to do on the field, and he understands what he's supposed to be doing off the field. I know if you search his name right now, a lot that's going to pop up is about the fines he's been receiving because of his shirt being untucked. He even said he doesn't understand it. But if you look hard enough, you do find stories like this. I think it's wonderful. He's still relatively new to the Cowboys, right? He's still a young player, but for him to, again, use his platform for good, put smiles on people's faces, and do it in this way, in this partnership with Tom Thumb and Albertsons, high five to you, CeeDee Lamb.
Totally agree. And, CeeDee Lamb, receivers in the NFL especially, they're a different breed of cat. A lot of them tend to be very arrogant. Odell Beckham Jr., and he's in the news. So for CeeDee Lamb, he doesn't have to go do this, to be out there, giving to people, helping the community, especially at a time like this in the holiday season. And we're still, I know a lot of us believe, and perhaps rightfully so, that we're coming out of the pandemic, although I've heard some scary news in some areas where it's starting to spike again in some parts of the country. A lot of people have been hurting, obviously, for the last 2 calendar years. So all the more reason why it's big that CeeDee Lamb does this. Not to mention, Shannon, if CeeDee Lamb comes up to you in a grocery store and hands in Dallas, the Dallas area, and hands you a $100 gift card, that's cool. And that's a big thing. But secondly, and maybe even bigger for some people who are Cowboys fans, it's CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, just to see him there.
Yeah. I mean, as a Cowboys fan, I remember when I was a kid, I was like 12 years old, and it was in San Antonio. And my friend Steve Duraco, who joins us on the live video feed sometimes, it was making an appearance at Central Park Mall was Mike Ditka, who then played tight end for the Cowboys, and John Nyland, who was an offensive guard for the Cowboys. And just as a kid to see them in person, and it wasn't that neither of them, Ditka went on obviously to be a Hall of Famer and a Bears head coach, but neither of them had the sizzle that a CD Lamb does right now, being a hotshot wide receiver. But I mean, just having an encounter with CD Lamb makes people's day and maybe makes their year. Here I am. I have a memory from age 12 of having that encounter with Mike Ditka and John Nyland. So in addition to the $100 gift card, which people need and can use in these tough times, for him to just give his time and connect with people and surprise people and greet people as a Dallas Cowboy is a big, big deal.
Yeah. Like I said, he gets it, and he wears, that number 88, carrying on that legacy. I think Des Bryant lost his way a little bit. I think a lot of that had to do with injuries and how good or not great the Cowboys were when he was on that team. But you think of, the Drew Pearsons and the Michael Irvins, like I think he understands the weight that carries, along with the fact that he is already a wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys. I am proud that he is I know he's a Sooner, but I am proud that he's a member of this club. And I'm happy for him that he's enjoying the experiences both on the field and off the field within that Dallas community.
And you alluded to this, Shannon, and I think it's worth talking about since we bring up CD Lamb in the high five play of the day. You're right. A lot of people are talking about his fines, which have all added up to somewhere in the $50,000 category thus far this season. And I saw a lot of people pointing out yesterday the irony that CD Lamb was fined recently. First time he didn't have his jersey tucked, he was fined $5,150. Mm-hmm. Second time he didn't have his jersey tucked in, he was fined $15,450. A lot of people are comparing the $15,450 fine for your jersey being untucked to Aaron Rodgers, a lesser fine of $14,650 for violating COVID protocols. And Shannon, I keep going back to this, and I know people have COVID fatigue and they're tired of it. They want to be done with it. However, COVID can kill you. We had Cleto Rodriguez, the comedian, on the show yesterday who nearly died of COVID, was in bad shape in a hospital. His stepfather, sadly, tragically, did die of COVID. A lot of us now, including myself, know people who have died from COVID. My problem with Aaron Rodgers, Shannon, is his behavior could have and still may very well kill somebody. And you're finding that dude $14,600 and you find CD Lamb $15,500 for having his jersey untucked.
Yeah, I think it's kind of we see this in when suspensions go down too. I mean, people still think the 6-game suspension that Ezekiel Elliott had following one of his incidences, where there was no criminal charges put against him outside the NFL activity, and the NFL comes in and lays down the law, and he has to sit out, and that hurt the Cowboys, right? And now we have the Deshaun Watson situation, and people are like, well, wait a minute, what's going on here, right? Why hasn't he suffered? And I think we're always going to get those debates, whether it's because you're a fan of one team or not or whatever. But also when it comes to like the uniform for CeeDee Lamb, I don't know the rules exactly. And I honestly haven't been paying that close of attention to see if he starts the game with the jersey tucked and then it becomes untucked throughout the game. If he gets pulled on, it just never goes back in. I still think his teammates could help him out, being like, hey man, that's $5,000. Let me help you out real quick.
Yeah, let me tuck it in.
I think another incident was he had a shoulder pad out or something at one point that he, so, but I agree. I think when you weigh those two together, you're like, well, wait a minute, this doesn't add up. Why is that a thing? And why are we making it a point is it just so easy to find him that you're making an example out of him? And why do we care about the uniform so much? I mean, you're not getting on people's tattoos.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just that to me, I think
and
past it.
And again, I'm very obviously old-fashioned and old in general and get off my lawn. But you talk about the uniforms, and I kind of get it. But I wish the NFL would be even-handed about enforcement. I understand it's
'Cause
all
he can't
about
be the only one.
protect the shield and the look, and the NFL, it's got a great look, and it's the greatest sport and the biggest money-making sport in America, if not on the face of this earth. But players wearing jewelry, and we've talked about it a lot this season, and you got the Green Bay Packer guy who had his father's ashes in a little pendant that he was wearing, which is noble and meaningful, and I get that. But players wearing diamond earrings and wearing big old gold chains, and it's like, really? Is that part of the football uniform? I think if we're going to enforce something, to me, some dude wearing big old diamond earrings or a big old gold chain with his uniform, to me, that's more non-football than CD Lamb's shoulder pad being out after a big play or his shirt being untucked. If you're going to enforce, if we're going to play football, if you're privileged enough to be in the National Football League and they care so much about how their uniform looks that they'll fine you if your jersey is not tucked in, then why are gold chains and diamond earrings an accessory on the football field? I have never understood that.
I think we're getting close to when they renegotiate terms that the uniform will definitely need to be something that comes up. I mean, because right now the NFL has been laxed, right, about like the helmets. You can now have a message on the back of your helmet, a social message. Cleats can also be different, whether they're in support of somebody or thinking of somebody. We're in November now. We're talking about Veterans Day today. They do all the camo merch, and I think that stuff is really cool. We just came out of October where it was the crucial catch. So the NFL clearly has well, you can change it if it's our stuff, but if it's your stuff, we're going to have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Talk about that. Or you may get a fine. We'll see.
The No Fun League.
There you go.
Yeah, we got a lot going on in the world of sports, and we will get into it. We'll preview tonight's Thursday night football game. We'll talk more about Shannon Salty Sweeney coming to San Antonio as early as today. NFL, college football, NBA, and more. 7 o'clock hour, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, sports history, sports birthdays. James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Andy Everett of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners in the 8 o'clock hour. Thanks for hanging out with us on Veterans Day till 9, Chris Duel Show. All right. Oh, that's loud. I just saw Amber, a.k.a. Foamfoot 420, saying, my eyes are so heavy right now. It's because you didn't sleep. Sleep is good. Get some sleep. I would kill for sleep. Wes Perkins says, I hope the red stripe jinx isn't in play for the Cowboys. See, I like those. I like the red stripe because it creates red, white, and blue. And to me, that's the Cowboys saying we are America's team. Yeah. So Freddie Garcia Jr., Buenos Dias. Hey, Jason, did you say you're going to the Spurs game Friday night? Did you tell us that yesterday? So I'm just saying, we know somebody going to the Spurs game as well. Oh, I didn't do this.
That's me.
I just saw what you saw. Oh, you just sent it. Okay. Wow. Shannon, I'm reading that story you sent. That is crazy.
I feel like you would have some Tanya Harding.
Yes.
I feel like you remember. I've seen the movies and stuff, but I wasn't really,
Yeah.
You lived through it in a way that I didn't.
Yeah, I almost brought up Tanya Harding yesterday. You were talking about celebrities boxing, and she got into the ring at one point with somebody, as I recall.
It's just what occurred is so strange, and it's when I first saw Tanya Harding training, I thought,
yeah,
like surely it's not. I mean, but this is almost bar for bar of what happened,
right?
With similar to it's craziness.
Yeah,
and to think that in this digital age that they could get away with it,
right?
Tanya's team didn't get away with it.
So Jason Paniagua going to the game tomorrow night, saying his friend's band is playing in the AT&T courtyard. And that's another cool thing, Shannon. They've got this little courtyard where they, before and after the game, there's a band. It's indoor, outdoor. It's kind of like a beer garden.
Mhm.
So, Jason, you may want to look for, maybe Shannon will reveal on the show tomorrow what she's wearing to the game. You might spot her at the game. Say hello. Manuel Gonzalez.
I'll probably be wearing black,
Black?
which will probably make me blend in.
Yeah, right.
But I assure you, this ain't nothing else going on with this face. It'll look the exact same.
There you go.
My signature ponytail look.
Jason should recognize you from the live video feed. Okay. Manuel, you sent me something. Let me go take a look. There it is. See, yeah, all right, man. Manuel sent me a photo and says that the Cowboys' red stripe looks like Houston Texan colors. And it says, when you wear Houston Texan colors, you play like them. Manuel, touche, and I get your point. And it's funny, but the Cowboys in 1976 for the entire season wore the red stripe and therefore the red, white, and blue. So there was no Houston Texans at the time. They were the Houston Oilers till that dirtbag Bud Adams moved them out of town. I really like the red stripe because it creates the red, white, and blue stripe. But so there's that. Armando Herrera saying, come to UTSA tailgating. To Shannon, that would be a call. There's Louisa, you wanted to see Jeremy. There he is up close and personal, wearing his Oklahoma State hoodie. We're willing to forgive him for that. All right, as I get my coffee. Amber says, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I'm telling you. Wait till you get a little older. You will appreciate and cherish sleep. Sleep is now like one of my favorite activities. It's like, oh my God, I get to sleep. Are you kidding me? Beth Settle. Beth Settle knows that I love sleep. Good morning, Beth Settle. Okay, so Foamfoot, you are a mere child. You are Shannon's age, which to me is a mere child. Ooh, Louisa saying Jeremy is good for the eyes. I think I know what that means. Yeah, I know. We might have to, Louisa, we might have to kick him out of radio. He's probably too good looking for radio. There's a requirement in radio. You have to have a face for radio. So, all right, Mike Taylor, sit in for me here, and I'll be right back. Will these Spurs glasses fit on Mike Taylor? I don't think so. Oh, almost. Almost. Back in a sec. Talk amongst yourselves. Thank you, Mike Taylor. Mike Taylor and the Mike Taylor Dancers. Jason Paniagua says, I can almost remember age 28. I can vaguely remember age 28. Oh. Yeah. At 28, I wouldn't like groan, when I'm climbing into a chair because my back hurts. That was one of the perks of age 28. Didn't have lower back ache all the time. Ooh, Jeremy sitting in the Starship Enterprise command chair now with Dave Ayler in the background. So if we totally crash this ship, it's Jeremy's fault. And actually, we will apply that to Sam Freese of the Mike Taylor Show, who has trained Jeremy. Here we come. 7:05. Here we go.
This is the Chris Duel Show.
You know the day destroys the night. Night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide. Break on through to the...
Now, Chris Duel.
Welcome in on a Thursday, November 11th. Normally we call Thursday a Throwback Thursday, but this is a very special Thursday because today is Veterans Day, and Shannon and I and Dave Ayler and Jeremy 2.0, we salute, we thank, we appreciate, we honor our veterans, all of you who may be listening right now, who have served and coming from a military family as well. I also, first and foremost, thank those who serve. And secondly, I realize that families serve as well. It's not easy, especially a military family that has to move around a lot. We hear a lot about military brats and families that, every few years, because your parent or your parents have been reassigned to another base, then you've got to, pick up, say goodbye to your friends in school and go meet some new friends. It's just part of the gig, part of the sacrifice that military families make. So a thank you to all the veterans on this Veterans Day. It is the Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney. And Shannon, no pressure, but I have noticed Dave Ayler has left the captain's chair, and Jeremy 2.0 is now running this show.
Okay. Well, I see he's not wearing a headset.
No, he doesn't even know we're talking about him right now.
So maybe that is strike number one.
Yeah. Yeah, we can talk trash about him and he won't even hear us right now. So it's perfect.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That iHeart does not supply you with headsets. You have to. That is your own purchase.
true. And the other
I'm bringing
thing,
mine with me tomorrow.
yes, and the other thing that's like gold at radio stations, as you know, Shannon, most headphones that you bring in have like the little smaller connector plugs.
Oh,
So you need the big adapter.
yes.
And those are all, you can never find them. They always
Yeah.
get lost. And then so you'll have your headphones ready to do a radio show, but they won't fit into the plug. So
Yep.
you're searching everywhere for an adapter.
Yeah.
And then since it's the morning show, not to admit that I'd ever go through other people's drawers looking for an adapter, but I've been forced to do that
Yeah.
a couple of times, or else I don't wind up on. So I finally like got on Amazon and bought like 10 of them. And I still lose them. I think I'm down to 2. I think there's 2 of them floating around in my desk drawer now.
Yeah,
I think other people are stealing them from my desk drawer.
I have backup 1/4 inches just in case. And this morning, it's never happened since I've been in this particular studio, because I plug my headphones directly into the board. And my set of headphones, it's a 1/8 inch, and then it came with the adapter. But the adapter, if I pull them out of the board a certain way, then that adapter gets stuck. And I didn't realize yesterday when I pulled it out that I didn't bring the adapter with me. So today when I got in, it was just like sitting on the side. And I was like, who left their adapter? This is gold right here. And I realized it was mine. So I hope I do bring it out with me today, because I would be very upset if I showed up tomorrow morning in San Antonio and was unable to plug in.
Well, we just go rifling through people's desk drawers.
But since we would be together, it wouldn't be the worst.
Yeah, exactly.
We'd still make it through.
We will figure it out. Yeah, and that is just to pull the curtain back. And some people listen to the show, Shannon, and they think you and I are in the same room. And again, it's just a marvel of technology. Shannon is in a studio in Austin. I'm in a studio, as is Dave Ayler and Jeremy 2.0 in San Antonio. So it's just through the magic of technology, we're connected. And what we love about this show is that it connects Austin and San Antonio, and we share a lot of interests as fans and sports people and listeners. So tomorrow, the first time, actually, you and I have met before at a Chewy's, Shannon, halfway between San Antonio and Austin, but this will be your first time in the palatial, sparkling, relatively new, couple-year-old iHeartRadio facilities here on Stone Oak Parkway in San Antonio.
And it should be a little preview, because supposedly next week we're moving in. iHeart Austin is moving to our new studios.
Woo!
I have no information as how that's going to work. I don't even have a key card to get into the building at the moment. So we'll see. But it'll be a nice little preview for me. And I'm excited to see it. And I haven't spent really any time in San Antonio since maybe 2013.
Oh my gosh.
Other than like a quick trip to a concert, drive there, drive back. So I'm excited. I don't know what I'm going to do today. I'm going to leave right after the show.
Woo.
If anyone has any suggestions on where I should go, what I should do.
That's a great point.
Hit me up.
Now, you will be close to downtown, I think, without giving away your secret, undisclosed location, because we don't want your adoring fans pounding on your hotel room door. But one of my favorite, one of the things you have to do in San Antonio, and I know you Austin people, you say, oh, we got great tacos. The Mexican food in San Antonio is spectacular. There's a place downtown called Mi Tierra, and Mi Tierra has been around forever and ever and ever. Since like the 1940s.
The really big restaurant, almost like a Market Square.
And it's down
delicious.
at Market Square, and it's got Christmas lights on the interior. You'll see a big mural of Bill Clinton, because when he was president, famously, whenever he would come to San Antonio, and now even when he's not president, he must eat at Mi Tierra. He loves it. There's a great photo of at the time former President Bill Clinton, Coach Greg Popovich, one-time San Antonio mayor and secretary of housing and urban development, and a one-time presidential candidate, Julian Castro, and one-time San Antonio mayor and HUD secretary, Henry Cisneros. There's a great photo of them a number of years ago, and they're all sitting at Mi Tierra having a Mexican lunch, a Mexican dinner lunch. So a lot of movers and shakers and tourists, and it's just quintessential San Antonio Mexican food.
This is a place that also has the bakery, right?
Yes.
See, there's nothing, because I have such a big sweet tooth, and I loved anything sweet, especially baked goods. But nothing stresses me out more than not knowing what I want and standing in front of a bakery counter and just seeing all of the pretty items that I want. I want every one of them, and I know I
Yeah.
physically can't handle it, that I end up usually walking away with nothing. So again, any suggestions?
Yes.
Sometimes I have a hard time making decisions.
Suggestions for Shannon, what to do in San Antonio, what to eat in San Antonio, what to see in San Antonio, either on the live video feed. You can join that on Facebook Live, AM 1300, the Zones page, or Ticket 760's page, or you can tweet Shannon directly at Shannon B. Sweeney, or tweet us at the radio station pages at Ticket 760, at AM 1300, the Zone, or tweet me, not for Shannon's recommendations, although I would pass them along, at Chris Duel. And eventually, I hope Jeremy 2.0, since he's going to be serving as soundscape stylist more now, I hope, unlike Dave Ayler, and Jeremy, I know you don't have headphones on, so you can nod or get on the mic, but are you on Twitter? Is there a Twitter account for you?
Sure, I am on.
KOLOK. Whoa.
Wait a minute.
That's pretty cool.
Spell it again.
Yeah. Well, and Jeremy, I must pass this along to you. I don't know how much you're following along on the live video feed, but a woman named Luisa Alanis wrote a few moments ago. She sees you on the live video feed. Jeremy is good for the eyes. I think that's exactly, Dave. You and I never get that ever. Oh, Jeremy's good for the eyes. What are we, chopped liver, Luisa? Come on. I know, exactly. So, all right. So there's that added bonus when Jeremy fills in. He's apparently easy on the eyes. So there is that. So since we have you on the mic, Jeremy, so you went to Clark High School. Very cool. And now you went for a while, at least, to Oklahoma State. Is that, when it comes to college football, is that your team because of your history with Oklahoma State? Woo. Nice. Yeah. Wow. Absolutely.
And now you're here.
Really excited to be here. And Shannon, it's really nice to meet you. I know I haven't met you before this, but I kind of wanted to say something on the point of, the Texas Oklahoma State thing is I'll never forget, I don't know what year it was, maybe 2009, the first Texas and OSU game I ever went to in Austin, because we were living down here, so you got to go see OSU when they come down to Austin. And
we got pretty good seats, and it was among Texas fans. It wasn't in the OSU section, but we sat a bunch next to a bunch of Texas fans, and I'll never forget that one Texas fan told me that the enemy of my enemy is my friend. So Texas fans don't hate us. I said, okay, we don't hate you then. The enemy of my enemy is my friend.
Nice.
That's true.
You have a common enemy, Oklahoma.
Exactly.
I like that a lot. So, all right. So you covered him up close and personal, Jeremy, as sports editor. Mike Gundy, most of us remember him for the I'm a man, I'm 40 rant. Having covered him up close, petted his dog. Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? Is he approachable? Do you like him? Does he inspire you to have a mullet?
No, well, he didn't really inspire me to have a mullet just because he kind of runs the hair game in North Central Oklahoma. Nobody can really compete with him. But
You've got great hair, though. I must,
Oh,
as a
thank
guy
you.
who is follically challenged, I must say you've got great hair. I
Well,
must tell
thank
you that.
I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But he was pretty. I don't know how to describe Gundy. He's very unique, but he's a chill guy, and what you see on TV is what he is. He's very comfortable in his skin, which he wasn't at the beginning of his career. I think he said something like when he first got hired that he was a country boy in a Yankee job. Like he didn't feel like he deserved to be the head coach when he was hired. But at this point, it's a complete 180. He is from that. I mean, he knows how secure he is in that job. He knows that he will probably there will never be anybody that did what he did for that school. So he's so comfortable in his skin. I mean, he's at this point, he probably puts in 50% of the time recruiting that he did a decade ago.
Huh.
He does much more farming. He buys more land every year now.
My goodness.
He's living the good life. He's doing exactly what he wants to do. He's very comfortable now.
Yeah, I'm looking at the upcoming schedule for the weekend. Number 10, Oklahoma State now ranked at number 10 at 8-1, hosting TCU in Stillwater. And I guess we're, Jeremy, a couple of weeks away from Oklahoma State versus Oklahoma. And I am, again, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. I want somebody to give Oklahoma a loss, and it may just come down to Oklahoma State as our last hope for that.
Now, wait a minute, because earlier in the season, when Texas was sort of kind of, but not really still in it, after they had lost to OSU, we were talking about how we would not cheer for, but think about the possibility of needing Oklahoma to beat OSU.
We did have that conversation because it benefited Texas to get to the Big
That's
12
right.
championship.
Now
game
we're
against
out of it.
Oklahoma.
We're back to our original ways.
Yes. So in a weird circumstance, Jeremy, for about a week and a half or two, Shannon and I were in the future maybe considering pulling for Oklahoma against Oklahoma State, but only because it benefited Texas. But,
Well,
and it no longer does.
No, I can see that by association, and I can respect that. But the bedlam, the Oklahoma State Oklahoma matchup is obviously we haven't had a good history in that.
Yeah.
I think Mike Gundy. I think this is like his 17th or 18th year, and he's 2-16 or whatever.
My goodness.
So we just kind of try to put that game out of our mind.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't know if Dave has told you how to do this yet, but we're about to find out. It is 7:20, approaching 7:21. It is the Grand in Your Hand cash contest. Somebody's going to win $1,000 right now when Jeremy fires it off. Here it comes.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword BANK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's BANK to 200-200.
Bank is the word. And just to wrap up, Jeremy, great to have you on board. We're sorry that Dave Ayler values WOAI more than us, but yeah, the good news, we're already getting rave reviews from women on Facebook Live who like looking at you. So that's a start. And I didn't know you were a sports editor at Oklahoma State. It's like, damn. I mean, not only are you into sports, it's like you were a sports media major. And I mean, you were serious. I just kind of stumbled. I was a stand-up comic who just kind of stumbled into sports talk because they kicked my ass off of news talk because I would tick off the listeners too much with my radical views. So nice to talk to somebody who has been on a sports trajectory for quite some time.
Chris, I don't know if you know this about me, but my extracurricular in college was we have at Texas called TSTV, where they have their own TV channel.
Yes.
And they do have a sports desk thing.
Whoa.
But
And
everyone
don't tell
wanted
me
to
you
do
were a
that.
sports editor.
No,
Okay.
I was the head writer for the sketch comedy show.
Oh, perfect. We're gonna have to just start a new
And
sketch
so you and
comedy
I,
show now.
we kind of went around
Yeah.
to get in.
Well, now that you're coming to San Antonio, we'll just go to the Laugh Out Loud Comedy Club and we'll bring Jeremy and we'll just start our own thing.
Yeah. I will say one of my former
co-stars, if you will.
He's on SNL now, and it's super weird to see like watch the show and just see comments of people like thirsting over him.
Yeah.
This is, everyone was part of it. We're all Coopers. I mean, it's like
yeah. So what's the name of the guy?
Thinking we're being funny and we're just being stupid.
Yeah. Well, and when you can parlay the being funny and stupid into a gig, that's a beautiful thing. What's the name of the guy on SNL now?
Andrew Dismukes.
Cool.
He's a feature. I think he's one of the featured players currently.
I'll have to check him out.
He's been on it a lot lately.
I didn't see it last week, but I heard there's some buzz, because obviously Alec Baldwin had that horrible accident on the set of Rust where the cinematographer was killed and the director was injured with the gunfire. So, and as we know, Alec Baldwin was doing Trump on SNL for years. So obviously they needed a new one. So apparently there's a new guy, and I got to check him out. I haven't gone to YouTube and looked yet. There's a new guy doing Trump now because they needed a new Trump.
Yeah.
But apparently he's real good. Apparently people say he nails it. So I'm going to check that out.
I think I did see during football season, I tend to only watch SNL on YouTube the next day. So I kind of pick and choose what I want to watch. And because cold opens can be so political, I kind of forego those at times. Because I'm like, I've had enough. I already get it.
Yeah.
But I'll get better in the springtime of watching.
Yeah, I tend to when a sketch kind of gets viral, when a Saturday Night Live sketch shows up on my Twitter or my YouTube or Facebook, and then I go, okay, I need to go look at this. So I don't just have, especially during football season and Spurs season, have time to watch. We are getting a recommendation, Shannon, for your trip to San Antonio. Armando Herrera says, check out Soho Desert Martini Bar. So
to see my sweet tooth was like dessert martini bar,
right? Yeah.
Because I had a shake teeny over the weekend, and that was delicious. So desert martini bar.
Well, and now what occurred to me as well.
Closed for that,
and I did vow never to go there again. But in Southtown, just south of downtown, there's a Mexican restaurant called Rosario's, which is a great Mexican, but there was the Rosario who played for the Atlanta Braves and they beat the Astros. So I vowed never to go to Rosario's ever again.
It's a recent thing for you.
Yeah. So there's that. And then there's, what's the outdoor bar? I'm spacing. It'll come to me.
Y'all keep sending me to bars. Like I'm just going to have to, I need to be, this is my first trip to San Antonio. I don't want it to be my last trip to San Antonio that the company is shelling out for. Because I show up on Friday with Chris, it's like, I had one too many margaritas.
I can't do the show Friday morning. I have such a headache. I am so hungover.
Can you pick me up?
Yeah.
Can you bring me to work?
People sent me to all these bars. So, all right. So there's, but yeah, if you do go to all these bars, leave the car at the hotel and just Uber.
Yeah.
So there's that. Well, there's a lot we meant to get to in this segment, but we will get to later. Again, the Thursday night football game, Dolphins, Ravens. We will get into that. You talked to me about this during the break, Shannon. We'll get into it coming up. A very troubling story involving soccer in France and player-on-player organized assault that is just ugly. I do want to find some time to get into that with you moving forward as well. Maybe if there's time coming up in the next segment, we'll give that a shot.
Yeah, it's a crazy story.
My goodness. And we'll evoke memories of Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. Coming up, Shannon's Salty Shakedown, always outstanding, entertaining, and thought-provoking. Before that, this day in sports history, sports birthdays, big 8 o'clock hour, James Allen, board member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We'll talk all things football with James. Speaking of football, Andy Everett, the voice of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners. He's going to join us just after 8:30. Lots of show coming at you. Jeremy 2.0 at the helm at the moment. Over his shoulder, the lovely and talented Mr. Dave Ayler. We are with you till 9 o'clock this morning on Veterans Day. A thank you to veterans everywhere. It's the Chris Duel Show.
We went back inside and sat down, had a few
Hector Gomez. See, I've got him on. I'm going to mute that. See, Hector Gomez says...
Is the audio ready for Shakedown?
I will ask him. Quick question. Do you guys have audio ready for the Salty Shakedown? You got it. All right. Yes. Dave says yes. Good morning, John Williams. from Big D. All right. More coffee because I don't have a nap today. And that totally freaks me out. I sew with this. I wake up at typically a little before 3. So a nap is essential. And last night there was a Spurs game. And after I do the Spurs game, it's like you get home, I'm wired, I can't go right to sleep. Bryn Forbes, ladies and gentlemen, for your viewing pleasure. A little bit of glare. Get rid of that glare. I don't know what the deal is. We do our best. We did the contest, Louisa. I almost missed it, but we did it. We'll do another one at 8:20.
You know, Facebook identifies people.
Woo! Foamfoot 420 in town wants to get a drink with Salty. Woo! I don't know. That could be a thing. Thank you, Bryn Forbes. Thank you, Bryn, for wearing a mask and being a good human being. Let's see. Yeah, Louisa, that was probably on me. I probably didn't turn my mic off so you could hear the contest. My apologies. Another shot at 8:20, and then a shot throughout the day until 9:20 p.m. at 20 after the hour. Jason Paniagua says, I took a nap after work yesterday. Couldn't fall asleep until 3 a.m. Naps can be evil. I like naps, especially with this schedule. So Hector Gomez saying a barge ride on the San Antonio Riverwalk. That is a good idea.
Is that the same as the little boats?
Those are the big barges that have like 30 people on them if they're full. They used to, I guess they brought them back, the little paddle boats, which are the little ones. Here we come.
Back to the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney.
Welcome back. Yes, she is Shannon Salty Sweeney. She's coming to San Antonio later today. She's going to the Spurs Mavericks game tomorrow night. Shannon will be in studio tomorrow, so that'll be cool. Now, I'm noticing Dave Ayler, before we do sports history, sports birthdays, and the Salty Shakedown, Jeremy 2.0 was in the captain's chair. You have now relieved him of his duties, and now you, sir, are in the cap. Did he screw something up? Did you just say, dude, I'm sorry, you can't handle this, Mr. Sports Editor at Oklahoma State?
No, he did fine.
Okay.
It's, he's a little unsure about how to do sports birthdays and news in the history and the Salty Shakedown. So he's going to watch do that. And, apparently he was, I'm not pretty enough for Facebook Live.
Neither am I.
I had to come in here and ugly the place up a little bit.
Neither am I. So yeah, now we got double ugly going, you and me. So yeah, all right.
We are a triple threat.
Exactly. That's all we need.
We're all in this together.
We all have the face made for radio.
Jeremy may be too good looking for this show.
You're fired. Get out of here.
Yeah,
pretty boy.
All right, Shannon Salty Shakedown is seconds away. But first, some sports birthdays. And this day in sports history. On this day in 1946, the New York Knicks played their first basketball game. They played in the Basketball Association of America, the BAA. It was a home game at Madison Square Garden. They lost to the Chicago Stags in overtime, 78-68. There's your New York Knicks history. Hopefully Walter Pasacreta is listening. On this day in 1980, the New York Islanders' future Hockey Hall of Famer right-winger Mike Bossy scored 4 goals in a 6-6 tie against the Minnesota North Stars. Of course, that would become the Dallas Stars. And don't say we never talk hockey. There was a little hockey talk right there for you. On this day in 1981, the Los Angeles Dodgers starter Fernando Valenzuela who began the season in San Antonio, pitching for the Double-A San Antonio Dodgers at VJ Keefe Field. Then he was called up to the Dodgers, and he became the first Major League Baseball rookie to win the Cy Young Award in the National League on this day in 1981. The American League winner was Milwaukee Brewers pitcher Raleigh Fingers, who was known for his handlebar mustache. Raleigh Fingers won at least one World Series, I know, against the Cincinnati Reds in 1972, pitching for the Oakland A's. That's your sports history. How about some sports birthdays? Born on this day in 1950, College Hall of Fame running back. He went to Purdue, would play for the New York Giants and the Denver Broncos in the NFL, was all-pro and went to the Pro Bowl in 74 and 76 in the NFL. Otis Armstrong, born on this day in 1950 in Chicago, Illinois. Sadly, he passed away earlier this year. I did not know that until I looked him up on sports birthdays today. Sorry that Otis Armstrong passed away earlier this year. Born on this day in 1951, American golfer, winner of the Masters in 1981 and the U.S. Open in 1984, Fuzzy Zoeller. One of my favorite golfer names ever. Fuzzy Zoeller, born on this day in 1951 in New Albany, Indiana. And finally, born on this day in 1986, New York Giants wide receiver Victor Cruz was born in Paterson, New Jersey, the Silk City, Paterson, New Jersey. Victor Cruz, born on this day in 1986. There you have it. Those are your sports birthdays. That's your one other thing, because I saw him post this morning on Instagram. One other sports history item today, Shannon. Tony Parker, on this day 2 years ago at the AT&T Center, his number was retired and raised to the rafters. I woke up this morning, looked at Instagram, and there was Tony Parker with photos of that saying, I can't believe it's been 2 years since Tony Parker's jersey was retired. So there's that for Tony Parker.
Time ago. Or not so long time ago, but when you say 2 years.
Yeah, it's like, it seems like yesterday to me. I remember that ceremony. It seems like yesterday, and that was 2 years ago. So that's sports history. That's sports birthday. And now, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends, Romans, countrymen, pole assassins, and monkeys, it's time once again for your salty shakedown.
Well, that was a great segue, Chris, because I want to start off by talking a little bit about the San Antonio Spurs. Obviously, they're not my number one. Okay, I'm sorry.
They will be after Friday night.
I am a Mavericks fan through and through. 2011, I've never been happier as a Mavericks fan. It's been kind of rough ever since, to be quite honest with you. And in preparation for going to the game, I was hoping to get some swag because I don't have any Mavs swag. I wore out all my championship shirts. I wore out all my Western Conference shirts. And in Austin, anywhere you go, it's Spurs. But I figured maybe one place would maybe have just a leftover dangling jersey, or so, even if it was Nowitzki, that I could get to support here on Friday, because tickets, it was all kind of a little last minute rush, no time to order anything online. And also I hate shopping, so I want to try it on, see if it fits, get it over with, and be done. I don't want to have to do take backs. Okay. But I'm walking around Academy yesterday and there's nothing for me to choose from. Of course, there's Spurs garb everywhere. And what I hated about it most, what made me jealous most, Chris, was that I liked it.
See?
Okay? Not only is the black and silver traditional, it's just a clean look. But compared to when the Mavericks have their throwback and they add the green in there, the blue's a little darker, it's hard to beat the Fiesta garb. And we just got the new City Edition jerseys. Those have been released. Those will be for sale soon. I'm sure San Antonio fans will eat those up. But I'm looking at San Antonio's website, and they've got some really great offerings as far as merch goes, with collaborations and different collections. The La Cultura collection, my language. So the Selena and the Spurs, I think that's great. It's such a great local tie-in. Obviously the City Edition stuff, there's Tim Duncan, there's Spurs Big 3 garb. And then to top it off, I see earlier in the week that the Spurs are holding not really a contest, but if you sign up for their fan club by November 12th, which is tomorrow,
Woo!
You're entered in to win Fiesta Jordan 1s, and there are 5 pairs of these shoes apparently that they are going to do a drawing for. I almost signed up to be a Spurs member of the fan club so I could have a pair of these Jordan 1s, even though they say Spurs on the back of them, and even though they are the Fiesta colors. They're just so darn cool, Chris. What? I mean, I almost am feeling pressured to buy something from the Spurs shop tonight because I just want to be cool like the Spurs fans are.
Yes. And by the way, whether you buy something or not, when you go to the game Friday night, the fan shop in the AT&T Center, they got all kinds of stuff and Spurs merch that you don't see anywhere else sometimes. So, and Shannon, there's nothing wrong with it. You live in Austin. You're closer to San Antonio than Dallas. You maintain your allegiance with.
That's right.
You can it's like I like the Houston Texans, although that's very difficult these days. But obviously, if they ever play the Cowboys, I'm all about the Cowboys, but when they don't, I'm all, I want my all Texas Super Bowl before I die.
Yeah.
And it's getting more and more unlikely.
I think where I have a little harder time is because I lived through the Spurs getting all of those championships while my team just sat there watching from home. And because I've been riding with my team, it's hard to jump over now. I don't want to be a bandwagoner. I don't want to be like, well, you're just doing it for the show.
See, now, because the Spurs are so young and people don't believe in them, now would be a great time to say, hey,
new
man.
wave train.
Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see. But nonetheless, I am excited to head to San Antonio today and to check out that game tomorrow. Moving on to the world of football, specifically the NFL. Sir, I wanted to get your take on this because Carson Wentz made some news yesterday. And I'll let him explain what's going on. Basically, he and his wife are expecting, and that baby could come at any moment. And he was asked about it during his presser earlier this week.
Yeah, if I talked to Coach earlier this week, I could get a call at any point here. We're excited. We're excited as a family. If it comes down to a game, I told my wife I'm playing, and then I'll see you at the hospital afterwards. And she knew that. She's been great, but. Coach has been understanding with meetings and everything. We'll see what happens. Confident God will time it up the way it's supposed to work out, but we're pretty excited as a family.
Sure she was okay with that? I was going to say.
Yeah, she's good. We're good.
Now Chris, he has a kid already, so it's not the birth of his first child, but it would still be the birth of his child. For reference, the Indianapolis Colts, which are 4-5, play the 2-6 Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday at noon. As he said, he could get a call at any minute. That kid could come before, it could come after, it could come right in the middle of the game. He doesn't care. He says he's going to be on the field and he will come after the fact. Chris, I am a female. I do not have any children of my own, but I understand what it takes as far as what happens in that hospital, and it does not look like a fun time. I would be pissed if my husband did not show up because he was playing football. I understand you're in the NFL. I understand that's what you get paid to do, but you're 4-5. It's not the Super Bowl. You're not going to the Super Bowl. I feel like this is a Carson Wentz issue of if I don't play, a guy like Sam Ehlinger will get a shot.
Ooh.
And considering how my career has gone thus far in recent years, if he gets that shot, if he plays well, if he leads that team to victory, if he gives my coaches any sense of doubt that maybe he is the future and I am on my way out, that I will lose my starting gig. So from that angle, how do you see this, Chris?
Wow. There's so much going on there, Shannon. You make the great point about Sam Ehlinger waiting in the wings, and we saw what Nick Foles did at Philly
he's an insecure guy.
I just think especially when you're an NFL quarterback, the hopes of the franchise, and I know they're 4-5, but Derrick Henry is now gone for the year for Tennessee. There's hope in Indianapolis that they can catch Tennessee and still win that division if they go on a run. I think NFL quarterback, it's a unique position. The fan base is counting on you. Your team is counting on you. Hopefully you have a wife that is understanding enough. It's like, honey, I will be with you before the game. Then I'll go to the game. Then immediately after the game, I will Uber right over to the hospital. I won't even take my pads off. I lean, and again, though, I'm not a woman, but I do appreciate what women go through in childbirth. My God, I could never do that. But I lean Carson on this. I think he's making the right call.
Well, for Carson's sake, he said his wife said is agreeing with it. So for that, go for it, my man. And congratulations, just ahead of time. Because again, we don't know when it's going to happen, but congrats to you and your wife. and your new little football bundle of joy that could be coming during the game. That would be really interesting if we did find out during the game that his wife was in labor. I'm sure whoever's covering that game, either Fox or CBS, will love to share the news with the public, because those are just the kind of stories that make people happy. All right, finally, another thing that makes me really happy are coaches that are involved in their not just community, but their schools and being around their students. We know that Texas men's basketball program started off the Chris Beard era with a win. The narrative was that the students stormed the court. It turns out Chris Beard asked students to come down on the court so he could get a picture with the students that were there to commemorate that first win. He also had a promise before the game that if they had enough fans show up, if they had enough student support, because he really wants to bring the students in to get them involved with this team, that he would throw a party. And sir, that party, he's making good on his promise. There's no date yet, but it will be held in front of the UT Tower. Chris Del Conte apparently working on getting some live entertainment. And just for reference, Texas, for that Friday night attendance for both men's and women's, 14,683 people attended, and it marked the fourth largest home opening turnout in the 45 years the Longhorns have played at the Irwin Center. We do have some audio for you here of just how appreciative Chris Beard was of the turnout from earlier this week.
Yeah, the biggest thing I'd like to say about last night's game is just appreciative of the crowd. It was a special environment on night one. And we're just appreciative of all the people who spent their time, money to come watch the game. And don't want to speak for Coach Schaefer, but the women's game had great attendance too. So we were just, it was pretty cool. It was a special night of Texas basketball in Austin last night. And, we all understand it was kind of a general admission ticket, right? I think that's kind of what created the lower bowl feel. And certainly our vision, again, back to my message here, the season tickets, we got over 9,000 season tickets sold. We just got to get them filled. And if we can get them filled, it'll be very similar each night out like it was last night, which is a great environment. And then probably most importantly, the student body came in full force. I don't have the exact numbers yet, but I confidently say it was a record-breaking first game attendance for our student section. So we're just appreciative of the students that came out. Hopefully we earned their trust, and maybe they'll come out and see us again.
Chris, it's so easy for especially basketball and football coaches who make they're millionaires. They make millions of dollars each year. When they're in season, they are extremely busy, not only with their regular duties, but obviously all of their media duties and appearances that they have to make, and then add on recruiting, and then just their regular lives on top of that. That at some coaches, they don't seem attainable, right? And they don't seem approachable. I think if I was standing in the same room as Nick Saban, I would make sure to be a certain distance from him at all times, because I don't want to get any sort of death glare from him. But when I see guys like Chris Beard, and also I want to bring in Jeff Traylor into this too, because he was on campus passing out Tiff's treats to students earlier.
Wow.
Which for one, that just made me hungry. And two, I just love it because they are taking the time to show their appreciation. Chris Beard could have come onto this campus as the hotshot that he is, right? Texas had to pry him away from Texas Tech. He has this giant contract. He has all these great expectations. He's taken a team to the finals. No, they did not win, but he's got that on his resume. He could come in here and just live on that alone, and people would still be okay with it. But he's taking the time to take care of the students and take care of everyone who plays a big role. I mean, fans play a huge role in creating home court advantage. It's not something Texas basketball has had for a while. Like I said, it's been 45. It was the biggest turnout in like 45 years. It was insane. The next closest was TJ Ford's freshman debut back in the day, early 2000s. So I'm a big fan of Chris Beard. I love it. I don't know what you think about him throwing a party. I hope that gets played. I want to go now. I think I look young enough, like a student, that I.
You're an alum, and yeah, absolutely.
But I just love what he's doing, and again, shout out to Jeff Traylor for doing similar things over on that UTSA campus.
I second all of those emotions, and it's perfect. And again, for Chris Beard to have been a Texas student back in the day, I mean, He gets it, and it is. I think it makes all the difference in the world when you've got a coach. And I love that you cited Jeff Traylor at UTSA as well, a coach that is accessible. I mean, Traylor just signed the contract that's $28 million.
Look, they really want me. I don't need to do anything for your approval or acceptance.
Yeah. So no, I love it, and that's my kind of coach. And kudos to Chris Beard, and I hope the success continues for both him and Jeff Traylor.
Well, there it is. It's not the saltiest of shakedowns, but a shakedown nonetheless. Your Thursday edition.
Outstanding, salty shakedown as always. Great stuff there to consider. I'm trying to see. We probably don't have time. Well, maybe we'll start it. I just want to mention it, and maybe we'll carry it over a little bit. You brought this to my attention, Shannon. A violent attack. A French soccer player arrested because it actually was an attack on a teammate, and it evokes memories of Tanya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. What do you know about this story?
So the soccer women's league is growing both stateside and internationally. Paris Saint-Germain, the female team, is high quality. They've got some high quality athletes, but apparently not some high quality people, as Aminata Diallo, I believe is how you pronounce her name, was arrested yesterday. She apparently involved in an attack on a teammate whose spot she wanted, because after this attack, she ended up getting that starting spot over her teammate. But the story goes that they went to a team dinner. The two were in a car on the way home. The car was stopped by two men. They dragged out the teammate, beat her in the legs with a metal pole, which, again, Kerrigan, Harding, hello.
Yeah.
I mean, almost
Galooly with the pole strike,
here. And really hurt her. Hurt her hands, I guess, from falling out of the car, and obviously hurt her legs, which you kind of need in soccer. It's a crazy story. It's something that, I mean, it was crazy when it happened in the skating world, and now here we are, and this woman gets caught, gets arrested. We'll see where it goes from here.
Crazy. We'll see if we can get more into that story as well. It's a big 8 o'clock hour. James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Andy Everett from the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners. Lots of ground to cover on this Veterans Day. A salute and a thank you to all veterans and all service members out there. With you till 9 on the Chris Duel Show. Tom Cunanan. Oh, I like that, Tom. Mike Taylor came here from Dallas, renounced his Mavs fanship or fandom, and now is a Spurs fan. So there's
but isn't
precedent.
that kind of Mike's thing where he renounced his fandom quite a lot and jumps on different teams?
That could be, yeah.
I think that's
although, I mean, clearly he's a hardcore Cowboys.
That's his thing.
Yeah.
Not my thing.
And Foamfoot 420, aka Amber, may go to the Spurs game. You may have a running partner, Shannon. I don't know. She might keep you out, take you to Cowboys dance hall, and have you dancing all night till 2 in the morning.
I am not a dancer.
You might be after Amber's
a couple of
done
tequilas,
with you.
maybe, but I don't know.
God, I'm already tired. I already need a nap, and I don't get a nap today. Woo!
So, Chris, we'll need to ask James about his recent announcement from Facebook.
What was that? Remind me.
I'm pulling it up now so I can get the right wording. He said on Friday, the chairman of the Pro Football Hall of Fame called today. I'm on the selection committee.
That's absolutely right. Okay, thank you. I forgot about that. I'm glad you brought that up. Well, and since you brought it up, I'll let
That's
you
like a whole
ask
segment.
that. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big deal.
Because he was already a big deal, and now he's...
Yeah. And now can we talk Charlie Waters of the Cowboys? Can we talk
does by osmosis, are we also part of the selection committee now?
I think so now.
Can we get in his head?
I think so. Yeah, that is very cool. I mean, and usually, obviously, that's, players and sports writers. I know John McClain of the Chronicle is one of them. Shireen Williams up in Dallas. Ooh, I've got to get my somewhere here. I've got a better James Allen photo. Let me see if I can find it. There it is. There you go, Jason. Jason says that means, by extension, the morning show listeners are also part of the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee. Absolutely. Now we can just lobby James Allen directly. Hey, man. So now that he's on the selection committee, well, and I wonder if he's going to be even if he'd be careful with his public comments. Like if we brought up Romo. Is Romo a Hall of Famer?
Yeah, retired players now off limits.
I can't.
Well,
I really
can we ask him about the Bradshaw Rogers thing or no?
Oh yeah, you brought up a great point about the code.
Right.
Of not, but is it?
He's going to stick to the code. He's going to stick to the code.
That's a great topic as well. I forgot about Bradshaw going after Rogers. And now Kareem Abdul-Jabbar went after him a couple of times in the media on multiple TV shows and wrote a story about it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, when you lose Kareem and Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah, Kareem, who's considered one of the nicest guys in all of sports.
and a thinker, a very thoughtful, rational, reasoned guy. Yeah, Jim Plunkett's a good call, Jason.
Now, Chris Duel.
Welcome in on a Thursday, November 11th. And the date November 11th should ring a big bell in your head that it is Veterans Day. So on this Veterans Day, we thank all of those who have served and are serving, and a shout out to their families as well, who by extension do serve. If you get an opportunity today or any day, but certainly today, if you see a veteran or a service member, a good day to thank them for their service, because the freedoms we enjoy in this country would not exist without them. So we thank them. Chris Duel Show with Shannon, Salty, Sweeney, big 8 o'clock hour. And if you were with us on the live video feed during the break there, Shannon and I talking about all of the questions we want to ask James Allen. Lots of topics to cover with him. He is a board member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. We talk all things football with him, not only on the NFL level, but the college level, even the high school level. All things football are on the table with James. We'll get into that in just a bit with him here in this segment. Andy Everett, the voice of UTSA football and UTSA athletics. UTSA 9-0, undefeated, one of only 4 undefeated teams left in Division I college football. They host Southern Mississippi on Saturday. Southern Miss is 1-8, barring a major unforeseen meltdown. UTSA will go to 10-0. And Shannon, we can thank the football gods, because tonight we get Thursday night football. Not the greatest game in the world. Dolphins hosting the Ravens. Ravens a very good team at 6-2. Dolphins not so much at 2-7 at Hard Rock Stadium in Miami tonight. But Shannon, I always go back to Paul Alexander, who reminds us football is a perishable commodity. It is expiring. We've already gone through September football. It's gone. We've gone through October football. It's gone. We're nearing the midpoint now of November. So if you take your football for granted, you're going to wake up one morning in February and wonder where football went. So I say enjoy it now while you can.
Yeah, and there's a couple of storylines that can garner some people's interest tonight. Obviously, the Ravens win it out in a tough one last weekend against the Vikings, which I think was a bit of a shocker. So they'll certainly look to bounce back and do so against a Miami team that's been struggling. Last I checked, I think the status of Tua for tonight was still uncertain for Miami. And then, of course, you know, the horrible Dalvin Cook story that has been going around, where it seems like there's been a lot of misinformation as to what's actually taking place. That will kind of be looming over tonight's game. And then personally for me, I always have Justin Tucker on my fantasy football team. I always draft him very high. I always get made fun of it, but it is consistent for your girl. So, and as a former Longhorn, he's a good one to root for.
Yeah, he can certainly deliver the goods. And one of certainly the most consistent kickers in the NFL. Although there was that game a week or two ago where everybody kept missing field goals at the end of the game, and Tucker missed a couple late, which was crazy uncharacteristic for him.
Yeah, it's a rarity. And we're about to talk to James. I mean, Justin Tucker's got to be, if there was ever a kicker, to be a shoe-in for the Hall of Fame with the accuracy.
You would think so. In fact, I'm seeing James Allen now on the live video feed. We're giving him a call right now to get him on the phone line, but he has just joined us. He just wrote on the live video feed, "Hello, everyone. I am new to this." So James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame is kind of expanding his horizons out there, which is cool.
I think we got him on Facebook, like social media in general.
That's
and
right.
He posts Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's not my favorite platform, but he's expanding his horizons, and I very much appreciate that about him.
There is a lot going on in the world of James Allen, and he is on the phone line right now. board member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame, friend of the show. We love talking football with him on Thursdays. And he's got his own walk-up music. There it is. James Allen, how you doing this morning?
Well, I'm recovering from food poisoning yesterday.
No.
So I hope I can make it through all right, but I'm a little weak.
Oh, you're going to have to tell it. I had food poisoning once, James, maybe 15. I was on the ground in the bathroom wanting to die. It was so painful. I remember saying to myself, just let me die. I'm okay. This is horrible. I can't handle this. I'm okay. Just take me out. What do you know how you got the food poisoning and what was yesterday like for you?
I named the independent restaurant because, I don't want to be sued, but all I can tell you is it was seafood, which I normally don't do, and it was double trouble. But anyway, let's move on. It's good to talk to you guys.
Very diplomatic. James Allen could call out the restaurant, but he's choosing not to.
Well, an extra thank you in that case for joining us this morning, James. Now, we were just talking, you are on Facebook. You and I, we are the best of friends on Facebook. So I see all of your little updates, and you shared on Friday that the chairman of the Pro Football Hall of Fame gave you a call and that you are now on the Pro Football Hall of Fame selection committee. So for one, congratulations, but two, tell us about that call. And I really wish it was a knock on the door. I know a phone call can't happen that way, but a knock on the door just would have been extra spectacular.
Right, having Big David Baker, right, showing up at my office, that would have been epic. And obviously, he's just recently resigned. Also, I'll give y'all an inside scoop of what we're going to do there. But yeah, it was Chairman Nash. As people, I mean, he owns a huge corporation, and he, has people call, make sure I was around, and call me and I was floored. And then I got to talk to the chairman of the selection committee, which is Joe Halter. And, he said, he's in Ohio and Joe Halter's a hireman. He said, you're the first, non-person. And they've already sent me an agenda, for the selection stuff we're doing this month and doing stuff in January at Super Bowl. And, I'm really, really, I mean, the naming of the room thing was, getting on the board, all this other stuff has been amazing, but that was just like, I was floored. And I was just so thankful to the chairman of the board of directors and Chairman Joe Halter for putting in the media, you guys, ESPN, and other people have really lifted me up on that. So I really appreciate the media and the staff and everybody else, because it's a concerted effort, how this guy from San Antonio, Texas, who sits in the huge shadow of the other Hall of Fame board member, Jerry Jones, could get that. So I appreciate it.
So James, does this mean that Shannon and I can now lobby you to get people into the hall? We can take you out for drinks, take you to seafood restaurants that will not food poison you, and talk about Cowboys like Chuck Howley and Charlie Waters and offensive lineman John Nyland. Can we make an appointment to lobby you for more Cowboys into the hall?
Well, obviously that's true. Yes, you can do all that. And knowing you and Shannon, our friendship, you don't have to do any of that. And I'll also tell you that people can nominate. Anybody can nominate. I've been very clear. I've only nominated one person. This is before the selection committee. UT, great. And probably one of the best linebackers ever to exist. And, Tommy Novus.
Yeah.
Trophy winner. And I bid. I even lobbied the Falcons, and that's a whole different story. But yeah, anybody can actually nominate. They can actually send it up to the Hall of Fame and get it there. But yes, of course, if you guys want to waste your money, but I know how tight Shannon is, so y'all don't have to spend.
Oh.
I'm giving Shannon the shot because she didn't go to the Hall of Fame. But she told me I'm not to be meaner to her. Like, it's hard to do that. But seriously, y'all can always talk to me.
Yeah, my wallet is very tight. It's very hard to get open. It's got locks all over it too. And while we're on the subject of Chris and I, in talking to you, what else can you provide us now that you have this such high profile status? I mean, it was high before, but this is huge.
Well, there's a lot of things. I do want to talk about the knock on the door. It's not been formally announced, but it's not classified. Obviously replacing David Baker, who's 6'8", 6'9", 400 pounds, and highly educated attorney. It's tough to beat him. I always call him P.T. Barnum, but what they're going to do is they're going to let Gold Jackets, actually Hall of Famers, knock on these guys' doors.
Whoa!
Return the favor.
Yeah, that's a little inside information for you. That really hasn't been put out there. And so, yeah, that's kind of a good segue what you were talking about earlier. We're going to have the Hall of Famers, show up at their doors. And that's really cool. We talked about how the Nitschke luncheon and how these guys are sat down, and I've already told you all about how to be quiet, be humble, be a part of this team, and they stay together. It's really going to be good. They're teammate for life, as Deacon Jones coined it years ago, and Merlin Olsen actually got behind that. Is that your teammate for life is going to come to the door and knock on the door. So that's going to be exciting.
Wow, that is incredible. And we appreciate your breaking that news here. So we got so many football fans and NFL fans who now know that the knocks on the doors to future Hall of Famers now coming from actual Gold Jacket Hall of Famers. James, earlier this week, we were talking, Shannon and I, and Shannon made a great point. On the Fox NFL panel show with Terry Bradshaw and Howie Long and Jimmy Johnson and those guys at the Naval Academy this past Sunday, Terry Bradshaw made some scathing comments about Aaron Rodgers and his deception. And I'm putting it mildly. Terry Bradshaw essentially called him a liar. He said, "You lied." He said, "Maybe you should have gone to the Naval Academy where they have an honor code and you would have learned not to lie." And Shannon brought up something you've talked with us a lot about, and there is a code among Hall of Famers. Hall of Famers, you talk about you're on the team for life. They don't publicly talk down other Hall of Famers. Now, Aaron Rodgers is not a Hall of Famer, so Terry Bradshaw did not break that code, but I think we all know Aaron Rodgers will be a Hall of Famer and probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. How surprised were you by Terry Bradshaw's scathing public criticism of Aaron Rodgers, and what are your thoughts about it?
Well, I love Terry. I mean, Terry's kind of like the Charles Barkley of basketball, right? You cannot help but love Charles Barkley because he says what's on his mind, and he's entertaining. And that's Terry Bradshaw's always been like that. And I love Terry for that. And he is entertaining. I mean, you're not going to get that out of Howie, his Hall of Fame teammate, and you're not going to get that out of the rest of the guys. But Terry is very passionate. He comes from a generation of Roger Staubach and him, and being character things, and I love the fact that Terry, Aaron is Aaron. A lot of things that come out from him. He doesn't talk to his family, and a lot of people in the inner circle know that he was always on Brett Favre's butt and criticizing him and talking trash to him. He's just not a nice guy. I think Terry knows all this. So I think Terry's just kind of like saying, hey, if you want to be a Hall of Famer, this is what they do at the Nitschke luncheon. He wouldn't use the word Hall of Fame, but he was basically saying, you better get you're the leader of this team. You get paid an obnoxious amount of money. You need to be better than that for your team because the culture of your team is surrounding the way you act on and off the field as quarterback. So I think that's what Terry's basically saying in a very passionate way. And I'm sure when Aaron gets in the Hall of Fame, which he will, they're going to talk about it. And Aaron's going to have a lot of great quarterbacks sit down and talk to him about, hey, this is, you need to check yourself as the old rap
Contest coming here in just a sec.
So, Terry's very passionate about that. It's the quarterback and his generation, and he's also very passionate about the integrity of being a quarterback.
Before we continue on with James Allen, now for the Pro Football Hall of Fame Selection Committee. We're giving you a shot to win $1,000. We do this all day throughout the day. Here's your 8 o'clock hour shot.
Now, your chance to win $1,000. Text the nationwide keyword WORK to 200-200. You'll get a confirmation text and info. Standard data and message rates apply in this nationwide contest. That's WORK to 200-200.
James, you just threw out the line, check yourself before you wreck yourself. I think that's kind of how the Cowboys are feeling. Even Jerry Jones said they went into that game against Denver last week and maybe thinking a little highly of themselves, which got in the way of them playing the game that they've been playing pretty well up until that point. Your thoughts on that Cowboys-Denver game and how you see this team potentially bouncing back this weekend against the Falcons?
By the way, I just got a text from a Hall of Famer, Anthony Munoz, who said, I want to say one thing about the Aaron Rodgers Saints. He talked about what Lou Holtz said. The famous coach said, ask what's the difference between football players today and 50 years ago. And Coach Holtz said simply, today's athletes talk about rights and privileges. The players 50 years ago talked about obligation and responsibility.
Wow.
I think that's kind of where Terry Bradshaw's coming from. Yeah, you're exact. Jerry Jones is right on that. I think you and I and Shannon, you and I, Chris, talked about this. I was worried about the Cowboys getting too full of themselves. We call those games quicksand, where you do something wrong and the more you struggle, the more you go down. And there's no question they were in a fog. And they're right. And is that game going to, check themselves? Because, you've got a heck of a schedule. I mean, you got the Falcons, which hopefully get your mojo back, but you got the Chiefs, Raiders, and Saints, boom, 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 coming up right behind each other. And that's going to define the Cowboys. Are the Cowboys going to win their deal, their division? Of course they are. They're going to win away. But are they ready for primetime players? And because after all that, they get through the dirty three there. They got Washington, New York, Washington again, Cardinals, etc. And they're going to have a great season. Everybody's going to be up in arms. But how are you going to do against the Chiefs, the Raiders, and Saints? It's really going to see how ready they really are for and I know you're going to say, Jim, we're a playoffs, but how ready are
playoffs?
Exactly. So that's what I think, Shannon. I think it's going to be, are you going to respond or are you going to react? And we're going to see how they react on this or respond. Obviously, they have the Falcons, which should be a lay down. But, you got the Chiefs, Raiders, and Saints coming back to back to back. That will define for all the fans where the Cowboys really are.
Yeah, we'll get a window into that on Sunday. Cowboys, Falcons, talking football with James Allen from the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And our regular listeners will know James played football at Texas A&M, is an A&M alum. And James, obviously, since half of our show does come from Austin, and there's a lot of Longhorn fans in San Antonio as well, we talk a lot of Longhorn football, but we got to talk a little A&M football because they're so darn good. Big win for A&M last week. They beat Auburn at College Station. You add that to the win earlier in the season, beating Alabama. And I texted you during the game. We learned on Saturday that A&M landed a guy who is regarded as the number 2 overall recruit, defensive lineman Walter Nolan, who was visiting that game. And decided I'm going to become a Texas Aggie. Aggies this weekend go on the road to Oxford, Mississippi, take on number 15 Ole Miss. Ole Miss 7-2 overall, 3-2 in the SEC. A&M at number 11, 7-2, 4-2 in the SEC. How do you feel about the Aggies? And at number 11 now in the college football playoff poll, what do you think the goal is the rest of the season for the Aggies?
Well, it's a two-part question. I do want to talk about the Longhorns real quick. I think they're going to be able to beat Kansas, West Virginia, Kansas State to have a winning season. So I really cheering them on because they really have a strong team. As far as A&M is concerned, I mean, every game's important, but this is it. Mississippi, the way the rankings, I don't understand NCAA rankings. I've been pretty vocal about it and gotten a little bit of trouble. But, this is going to define a lot of stuff A&M because if A&M beats Ole Miss at home, which is going to be tough to do, then if Auburn beats Alabama on November 27th, A&M's number 1.
Whoa.
And in the SEC in their section, of course, and they'll end up probably playing Georgia for the SEC championship. That's as far as the rankings are concerned, I don't get it. I mean, and I'm going to get myself in trouble, and I've said this before. I don't see how Cincinnati's number 2. I don't see, how any of these teams. I mean, how is Notre Dame number 7, Oregon's number 5, Oklahoma number 4? Are you kidding me? I mean, look, y'all should have beat us. I mean, I don't understand these rankings. The SEC reminds me of the old Southwest Conference when UT and A&M and SMU and we'd all beat up on each other and nobody would ever get out alive, very rarely. And Michigan State number 8 and 9, or Michigan number 9, I don't get it. I'm excited about UTSA number 15. But as far as top 10, if Cincinnati or any of those teams think they can ranked number 4 and Oregon 5 or Notre Dame. Notre Dame, I love Notre Dame as a tradition, but if they think they beat half the teams in our division, I would love to see it. So even if we beat Old Miss, the only thing that A&M is going to be setting themselves up for is number 1 or number 2 in their conference. And that's the biggest pivotal thing. I don't think they're going to move up the ladder. I think Alabama number 3 is disingenuous and having Cincinnati ahead of them. But I am excited about it. I don't want to steal from Andy Everett. I'm very excited about UTSA number 15.
James, I've got one final question for you here. I am going to San Antonio today so I can do the show live with Chris in the studio tomorrow and attend the Maverick Spurs game on Friday night. Do you have any suggestions on what I should go, where I should eat? I don't eat seafood, so there's no sense in thinking of something like that. I don't know why you would at this very juncture, but any suggestions for me?
What kind of food do you like?
Pretty much anything but seafood.
Well, I always talk to the locals. Over by the AT&T Center, there's some really good hole-in-the-wall. It's not right by the stadium, but within 3 or 5 miles of hole-in-the-wall Mexican food places over there. There's some amazing barbecue places. I can't remember their names, but and to not to AT&T Center's food there is as fast food as it is. If you go down to the lower level where all the rich people are, they got some pretty good food down. If you can smooth talk your way down there, they got some good food down there.
Just tell them you're with James Allen. Just say, "Hey, man, I'm here with James Allen. Let me in."
Yeah, they're gonna say, "Who's that?" I don't know. When I was with AT&T Center, I have to tell them myself I'm not a rich guy, but I was always blessed to go with people, so I didn't actually. But there's a couple, like I said, Mexican restaurants. Ask some local people. People from, if you're going to be by the AT&T Center, there's some great hole-in-the-wall restaurants to go to. As far as that, I have some of my favorite places, but I like to go to. If you really want to be by the stadium, there's some great places to eat there. I love anyway. So and also Shannon, it's cheap. Just so you know, the food's cheap. Mexican food restaurant.
Thank you.
Perfect. James Allen. James, we are up against a break, but once again, congratulations on the amazing honor. You are now on the selection committee at the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Onward and upward. We love talking football with you. Have yourself a great football weekend, James. We'll talk again next week.
Who are both leaning on each other, healing, and Jim and Barbara. And I thank y'all for your time.
Amen. Shout out. We second the shout out to James's parents as well. Quick break coming up. The voice of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners, Andy Everett, joins us next on the Chris Duel Show. Woo! All right. Now I need my new Andy Everett photo that we're going to use. It's the same photo, but they were too wide last week. I'm still learning StreamYard. And they were so wide they were blocking us out of the shot. So there's your new Andy Everett photo. All right. Get some ice for my coffee. What's happening?
So last night I went out to take a piece of trash out to the bin, and I looked up and I saw this white thing going across. It was Jorge Soler's ball that hadn't yet come back to Earth.
It's in orbit. It's orbiting, and the space station, International Space Station, has to duck it now and then.
How are you, sir?
Very good.
What's this new guy's name?
Jeremy.
Stand.
Easy to remember.
What do they serve there?
Just like the previous Jeremy.
Okay.
Yeah.
How's your mother?
She's doing well. Thank you.
Very good. Just popped in to say hello, sir.
Very nice.
I would have been remiss if I hadn't noticed that little white object I saw last.
That's funny. That's funny.
Here's a dumb blonde joke.
Okay.
Careful.
Yeah, you're on.
Oh, sorry. Hey there, Salty. How are you?
And she's coming. She'll be here tomorrow.
Really? I get to meet.
You can meet David Munoz tomorrow, and he can tell you some of his many jokes.
Listen, I expect to be paraded around there like the queen I am.
Okay, listen. This shouldn't relate to you because I said dumb blonde. Now, if you take offense to that, then I'm sorry, you know. So it's this dumb blonde is up in this little bitty airplane, and so the pilot has a heart attack and dies. And so she gets on the radio and says, "Mayday, Mayday! I'm in a small airplane, and my pilot has just died. Can you help me?" And so she hears a voice. "This is the air traffic controller. Give me your height and your position." She says, "I'm 5'4" and I'm sitting in the front seat." And the guy says, "Listen very carefully and repeat after me. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name." Thank you, ma'am.
Very
Look forward to
nice.
meeting you tomorrow.
David Munoz, ladies and gentlemen. He'll be here all week.
I look forward to meeting you, Salty.
You too. I'm excited.
I'm the Yankee fan, by the way.
I mean, yeah, we know. Thank
Baseball
God.
season's so far away.
But I'm also a Spurs fan, unlike you with your Mavericks.
I know. We gotta work on that. If the Yankees sign Carlos Correa, I'm storming
I'll be very happy.
Yankee Stadium with.
Now, Salty, I'll give you one piece of trivia here. Since you're a Mavericks fan, do you know the very first team that the Mavericks played when they joined the NBA?
I think I did this the other day in sports,
you did?
sports history. No, I'm not going to give it away.
Okay.
I think
Was it the Spurs?
It was the Spurs, and the Mavs were coached by Dick Motta, and the Mavericks won that game. The very first game.
Wow.
in
Yeah, I
NBA.
think Chris did that the other day.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
on this day
remember-
in sports history.
It was like
And
he
of course-
started reading it and then remembered I'm a Mavs fan. I was like, oh, dang it.
Okay, now from the Zinger standpoint, y'all are only behind us by 4 championships, but that's another story for another day.
Well,
And we would have had one more if Manu doesn't foul Dirk
During
in
the
Game
busy,
7.
Right. And we would have had another one if 2 free throws were made in Game 6 against Miami in 2013.
well, they don't make trophies for ifs. So
Yes, I know that. If it's a bus for Fabian, nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Don Meredith.
I'm still upset about 2007. Still upset.
Oh, well. But anyway, you and I are on the same page about this. Hook 'em.
There you go. That's
There you
what
go.
matters.
Well, unfortunately, they're having a very not long
No, we're a volleyball school. It's fine.
Well, I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, Salty. Thank you very much.
Well, and Dick Motta, I forgot that he was the coach of them. I mean, given his history with the Spurs in that Washington Bullets series that went 7,
1978, I believe it was.
Spurs were up 3-1. And then the biggest thing that drives me crazy, and I know you know this, Dan Cook was the guy who said, "The opera ain't over till the fat lady sings."
Right.
And then Dick Motta the next day says it to the media. And to this day, Dick Motta is credited with that saying.
Dan Cook was a local sportscaster on Ken's 5 TV here for many years. He was a legendary sportscaster, and he's the one that coined the phrase, "The opera ain't over till the fat lady
Yeah.
sings."
Oh,
Oh,
that's okay. What's happening? Oh, thank you for that. Andy Everett.
well, how about that?
Woo!
Jeez.
Who is the host of the golf show when David Munoz is not doing the golf show. When David Munoz is out golfing, Andy Everett is the host of the golf show. 8 o'clock, Saturday mornings on Ticket 760. Thank you, sir. David Munoz, ladies and gentlemen. I always have to remind him that that we're live on the internet during the breaks. I never know how off color his jokes might be. They're not off color, really, but I always worry. It's like he comes in, he's going to tell me a joke. It's like, all right, is this joke available for public consumption, or is this going to get us in trouble? Luckily, that one did not.
Lisa, you're right. Swimming and diving. I mean, it's top tier. It almost doesn't need to be said. We are that dominant in that sport. I mean, I think if you were to take the University of Texas Olympic medals and stack them up to other countries, we would probably still be top 10.
I see James Allen in here. James, I don't know if during the segment you saw your photo. We've got your lovely official photo that we put up. So it's good to see James Allen in here. Great segment, James, if you're still listening. Yeah, we were talking, James, since now that you're on the selection committee, now when we ask you about certain players, are you going to, and you didn't, and we're kidding, but are you going to go all, oh, I'm sorry, I can't really go there. I'm on the selection committee now. I got to be careful what I say. Luckily, that's not the case. We appreciate it. Oh, okay, cool. Thank you, sir. Are you an ABBA fan, Jeremy? Nice. You admit that in public. I like that. They've got a new album out that I haven't listened to yet.
He just said yes because he's too afraid of confrontation this early on.
Oh, I put my camera way too high. Louisa says we're also a swimming school. There you go. Andy Everett of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners joining us now. And yes, we've got an Andy Everett photo, which looks like that. I think the new ABBA album is called Voyage. Let's see, new.
Ooh, Foamfoot, cover 3.
ABBA
That's my
album.
spot. That is my
Voyage.
spot.
Woo!
There is one in San Antonio.
First ABBA
obviously.
album in 40 years. There's a headline at Rolling Stone I just pulled up. The first new ABBA album in 40 years was worth the wait. The Swedish Super Troopers haven't lost their appetite for emotional crisis soundtracks. I got to read that article. And I got to listen to the album, which I haven't listened to yet. Here we go. The music by ABBA or ABBA, depending on your pronunciation. Welcome in. It's the Chris Duel Show with Shannon Salty Sweeney. We play that music when Andy Everett comes on the show because he is man enough to admit he's an ABBA fan, as am I. Their new album, it's been 40 years since ABBA dropped an album, and this month they dropped the new album Voyage. I haven't listened to it yet. And I'll bet you Andy Everett hasn't listened to it yet because he's busy not only now with UTSA football, but now UTSA basketball. The voice of the undefeated UTSA Roadrunners, Andy Everett. How are you doing this morning? A great ring to it. And I'm yesterday, as I'm sure you know by now, Sincere McCormick on the Rich Eisen show nationally, Jeff Traylor going on a bunch of national shows. A lot of the national media finally understanding that UTSA's got a good thing going on.
Well, there's an old adage in sports marketing and sports promotion that winning is the best promotion and the best marketing tool that you can have. And we're finally starting to see the rewards of that with the way UTSA's played. I know they're trying to get game day to come to a game, and they only have one left, and that would be the UAB game. I don't know if they're going to come or not, but it would be a huge thing for San Antonio and for UTSA football if they did. But the national shows are showing up. The media's excited. I think it was one of the things I noticed last week at UTEP is I know KSAT was there, but I think there's a couple other local media people that never traveled to games that came to UTEP for that game. So the bandwagon has still got plenty of room on it for everyone to jump on board.
Andy, you've clearly paid great attention to this UTSA football program. It's calling the games means you're watching it from beginning to end every time. And after this latest win over UTEP, going 9-0, it seems like they're at a point of they're clicking on all cylinders. But as someone who's watched this team as closely as you have, are there any areas of improvement that you still see that this team could make to be even better as they continue to play out the rest of the season?
Well, I think one of the things that everybody's a little bit concerned about, well, not concerned about, but they want to make sure that they pay attention to, is to understand that every team is going to come after you down. and they're going to play a little chippy. They're going to play dirty at times. They're going to try to bait you into doing things that you don't normally do. And UTSA had 8 penalties in the game at UTEP, and 5 of them were losing their composure type, late hits, unsportsmanlike conduct, retaliation, stuff like that. The false starts you can correct pretty quickly. UTSA only averages 3 penalties a game. I think they're the least penalized team in college football. And so they want to get back to that. But they also have to make sure that they don't do something crazy and let the other team kind of bait them into doing things that they don't normally do. The maturity of this team should take over. It's something that Jeff Traylor's been talking about all week in practice. Southern Miss comes in here with absolutely nothing to lose whatsoever. They're going to get under people's skin. They're going to talk trash. You just have to ignore it and move on and say, look at the scoreboard and go about your next play. And I think that's pretty much that. But this offense is clicking. This defense is fun to watch. You know, no one's ever going to probably know how really good they are because they're not going to get to play one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the country to see do they have that status. But you can only play who you schedule, and nobody knew that Illinois wasn't going to be any better than they are now when that was scheduled 6 or 7 years ago. And Illinois has won some games against Penn State and a couple others. You know, Memphis isn't what Memphis has been the last couple of years, but it was still a Memphis win. And the Western Kentucky and the La Tech and UTEP wins have been big too. So you just keep doing what you have to do, and everything else will take care of itself.
It's talking about the Roadrunners, UTSA Roadrunners with Andy Everett. And Andy, you just made the statement that UTSA isn't going to play one of the top 2 teams in the country. And it's one of my pet peeves. And last year, Cincinnati goes undefeated. They don't get into the college football playoff. As we well know, there are only 4 undefeated Division I college football teams right now. UTSA is one of them. I think it is totally unfair. If you play baseball, you have a great season, you go to the College World Series. You play basketball, Division I, you have a great season, you're going to go to the tournament. Do you envision a day in our lifetime, hopefully in the next 10 years, when we have a 16-team playoff that would open the door for undefeated teams like UTSA to have the opportunity to play for a national championship?
Well, I think the optimum number from my standpoint is 12. And I think one of the things that has to be a caveat of that 12 is that the non-Power 5 teams have to be included, either as the 11th or 12th seed, or if they're rated higher, then you can rank them higher. I understand, you look at the NCAA tournament, and if the Final Four is Duke, Kentucky, North Carolina, and Loyola of Chicago, whoever is playing Loyola of Chicago, it's a Cinderella game, and it's all the things that they can find out about the program, and it's great for that community, but it does not resonate with television ratings. So what you're seeing with the ESPNs, the ABCs of the world when it comes to the college football playoffs is they want ratings, they want eyeballs, and so they want the blue blood programs to be in those 12, be amongst those 12 teams. But I don't care about that, and I think we need to include the Conference USAs of now, although I think that conference is not going to be near what it is now when it's realigned. But certainly the American Conference, the Mountain West, perhaps the MAC, and a couple others have some really good football to be played. And so I would like to see a 12-team playoff. I think the top 4 seeds should get buys. And the reason I'm saying 16, all of a sudden, we've gone from 11 games a year when I was younger to 12. Now we throw in a conference championship game, that's 13. You play, in one postseason game, that's 14. And if you play in a 12-team playoff, you could play 16 games. So that's probably enough for college football players to play without getting them overworked and risking injury. Nothing against basketball, but basketball doesn't have the collisions that football does, and I think there's more catastrophic injuries potentially that could happen in a football game than in a basketball game. So I think 12 is the optimum number. That way the champion is playing no more than 15 games. Maybe or 16, maybe the champion's only playing 15 if it's in Alabama or Georgia that's ranked in the top 4. And that would really help you define the season. There's a lot of people that said, if UTSA played Alabama, they would have no chance. And I think most people would say they could play 1,000 times. Alabama would win 999 of them. But they only have to win once before it becomes a legendary story. And that's why you play the game. You don't just assume that somebody's going to win the game.
Andy, I do want to talk some hoops with you this morning because you are the voice of the UTSA Roadrunners, and they did get their season started earlier this week with a win, but they head to Norman tomorrow to take on the big bad Sooners. You, of course, a Sooner fan. One, will you be there to call that game in Norman? And in your heart of hearts, do you have a side in this one, or are you just going there to do a job, get the job done, and get back home and get ready for UTSA's football game on Saturday?
No, I'm the voice of UTSA, and I want UTSA to win no matter who they're playing, when they're playing, where they're playing, and that includes the OU game. I went to OU. I'm an OU fan. I hope they do great, and if OU and UTSA play in a football game and a bowl game someday, I want UTSA to win. That's where the line in the sand, I guess, is gone. I can't go to this game with all of the issues with flights and delays and things of that nature to try to assume that I'm going to get back in time on Saturday for a football game. I figured out the only way to guarantee that was to do the game in Norman, jump on in a car and drive for 8 hours home and get home at 4 o'clock in the morning. And I passed on that. So I'm not going. The former longtime voice of the Spurs back in the 80s and the 90s, Jay Howard, will pinch hit for me. And they're all set up to hopefully have a good call tomorrow night in Norman and see if UTSA can upset the Sooners, who have a little bit of a new look this year with a new coach, Porter Mosier, who coached that Loyola Chicago team that was here in the Final Four a few years ago.
Yeah, great. Spurs fans love hearing the name Jay Howard, legendary among certainly Spurs fans. And whenever he does pinch hit for you, Andy, it's a treat to hear Jay Howard call a basketball game. It just evokes such memories, and he's such a great talent. I do want to jump back for a second to UTSA Roadrunner football, Andy. And I know, again, it's like talking about a pitcher pitching a no-hitter. I know we're not supposed to talk about it, but we can't help it. Southern Miss is 1-8. Barring catastrophe, UTSA will be 10-0 with 2 regular season games remaining. UAB a week from Saturday on November 20th, and then at North Texas on November 27th. With all of this, and it's going to continue to grow next week, Andy, Sincere McCormick on the Rich Eisen show, Jeff Traylor on multiple national shows. You know, when a team goes to the Super Bowl, there's all the added distractions of all the media attention. Do you think there's any chance that distractions might be a problem for these young players playing for UTSA?
Well, Chris, I'm going to pull the Jeff Traylor card on you. You need to report to Ryan Philo at 5 a.m. for solar violation. Because here's the thing. And this, we talked about the culture pillars. We talked about the triangle of toughness. They're not just words. This team is, they're drinking that Jeff Traylor Kool-Aid. They firmly believe that this is the method to the madness. And their only focus is on Southern Miss. And next week, their only focus will be on whoever they play. Jeff comes to the radio show every week, and he has a folder of all the stuff in it. And it doesn't have a team on it. It just says this week's opponent. It doesn't say Southern Miss. It won't say UAB next week. It won't say anybody that they've played in the past. Right now, that folder says this week's opponent, and it has a bunch of Southern Miss stuff in the folder. And he'll throw that one away and empty that folder, and they'll put the other stuff in there next week. I think that's why the distractions so far have not hurt this team. I think settling that contract for Jeff was huge because it doesn't leave any doubt that he's not only going to coach the rest of this year, he's going to coach for the next 10. And so all of those things are huge for this team, and they truly live by that day by day, game by game, minute by minute. And I can remember following Tiger Woods playing golf, and we used to always ask, people always ask me, "What are you going to shoot today? How are you feeling?" He goes, "I don't know. I'm going to go practice, and I hope I get every shot great." And I've been around a lot of world-class athletes in my life, and the one thing I know that the best ones do better than anything else is they're focused in the present and not in the past and not in the future. And UTSA's got about 100+ kids that are focused solely on what they got to do today to get ready to beat Southern Miss.
And listen, everybody listening, if you're in San Antonio or outside San Antonio, even if you're in Austin and can make the trip to the Alamo Dome, there is something special, something magical going on with this UTSA football team. The game, Southern Miss, Alamo Dome, kickoff at 2:30 on Saturday. Andy Everett will have the call. That means pregame at 12:30 on Ticket 760 in San Antonio. If you're outside San Antonio, you can catch that on the iHeartRadio app. Andy Everett, have a great call on Saturday. We will be listening on to 10-0. Birds up, and thanks so much. Have a great weekend, Andy.
All right, see you on next week.
All right, Andy Everett. Shannon Salty Sweeney. Next time we talk, it'll be face-to-face as you come down to San Antonio today.
How cool is that?
Woo!
I'm excited.
Shannon in studio tomorrow. That's going to be a lot of fun. Jeremy 2.0. Jeremy, great job. We will see. Are you here tomorrow with Brian Gann? How does that work out? So you're gonna pull a Dave Ayler on us and just blow us off tomorrow. All right. Our thanks to Dave Ayler. So I think it's the boss man, Brian Gann. That means we're going to have to behave ourselves tomorrow. No more F-bombs on tomorrow's show. So thanks to Shannon. Thanks to Jeremy and Dave Ayler. Thanks to Andy Everett and James Allen of the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Thank you to all the veterans and their families on this Veterans Day. Have yourself a great Veterans Day. See you tomorrow. Woo! Woo! Thank you, Andy Everett. All right, y'all. Adios, muchachos. Shannon, text me if anything develops this afternoon. We'll figure it all out.
All right. Will do.
Farewell.
Bye.
Adios. Until next time.